Welcome to the Brian Craig Show. My name is Brian, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. You know, what President Trump has done with Iran is nothing short of genius. And of course, he had a gaggle, one of those press conferences on Air Force One yesterday. I'm going to go through some of that. But, you know, what President Trump is doing is he's ending America's longest war, the war with Iran, which has gone on for almost half a century. At this point, we're approaching 48 years. Can we round up to 50? So he's ending America's longest war, and he's doing it with a minimal amount of casualties. Think about that, right? I mean, that's absolutely amazing. Just 6-7 months ago, Iran was a major military power with an army, an air force, and a navy. They had a global Islamic terrorism network. They were bullying the world. They've been killing Americans really in the thousands and wounding Americans by the thousands as well over the years, backing and causing all kinds of terrorism, including the Gaza war attack at the music festival. That was Iran. And now what are they, right? Iran, they have been so battered by President Trump in this incredible military operation that the way that I describe Iran now is they've gone from a major military power to becoming a nuisance that's about as equivalent as the Somali pirates that used to hijacked these freighters years ago, like the Captain Phillips Somali pirates. They are such a tiny, tiny little shell of what they were. And of course, the never-Trumpers, the Democrats, the left, all these people, you know, they can't acknowledge that because they hate Trump so much. And they like to say, I thought Trump said no more wars. No new wars. Well, no, he didn't. But even if he did, so what? This is not a new war. President Trump is ending the oldest war that the United States has been in, the longest war. We've never had a war anywhere near as long as this. And by the way, doesn't the president look great? He's running the world. He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he's actually de-aging in this second term.
So we had an attack that would be the biggest attack since World War II, and it would have been disastrous for them, and they didn't want us to do so.
Yeah, the largest attack since World War II. So he's talking about an air campaign. He's talking about the largest air campaign since the Second World War. My guess is when he says that, he's referring to Dresden, the firebombing of Dresden, which was 3 nights of nonstop bombing by the United States and the Brits. And, you know, the thing about that is maybe the time will come for that, right? All of the forces that were going to launch that attack that he called off are still there. They could launch right now if Trump gave the order. But once he levels the country and we destroy the entire country, including the power plants and such, then you've gone from a war against a terrorist state to a humanitarian disaster among the civilians that we'll be responsible for. And then we have to move in. So if Trump would have wiped out Iran with this campaign, which he still may have to do, there's a humanitarian crisis after. He'll have to send our forces in to help with the humanitarian crisis, and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard fanatics will have an insurrection force inside Iran, causing havoc and blowing Americans up every chance they get. Is that what you want? You know, I'm seeing that all the liberals throwing this taco around. Taco. Drudge Report got taco out there. You know, liberals, I mean, do you really think about what you're saying? You know, in one breath, the never-Trumpers, the Democrats, they say they're against this military operation. They're against it, hardcore. We shouldn't be doing it. It's wrong, And then when President Trump makes the decision not to level the entire country and vaporize it, well, you're against that too. How can you be against both? Either you're against the military operation or you want it to continue. But what you guys are doing is both. You're coming off as peaceniks, and then in the next breath, you're hardcore war hawks.
Disaster by Saudi Arabia, by UAE, by Qatar, and by Iran. We were all set to go just about at this time right now, and it would have been a massive attack. We were all set to go, but when the allies asked to call it off, you got to sort of say, well, let's see. And the reason they asked is I think there's a deal. There's a deal on Hormuz, and then there will be a deal on the nuclear, or you might call it the denuclearization of Iran. I call it the denuclearization of Iran. So we're holding it. We'll just see. We can do it anytime we want. But we were asked by the three primary groups. We were also asked by Iran, very strongly, actually. They said, we'd like to make a deal. Now, I don't know what they say, because a lot of times they'll say that to me, and then they'll go out and say, we don't know what he's talking about. Obviously, they don't want to be attacked. And they knew the extent of the attack because they saw it forming.
Yeah. So the Iranians are terrified of President Trump and know that he has the ability to wipe them out. Now, if you have any opinions on this, whether you agree or disagree, you're welcome to call. The number is pinned in the live chat. All opinions are welcome, all right? All opinions are welcome. And the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It is a toll-free call no matter where you are located. These are all clips from the president's press conference on Air Force One about this.
What prompted you to call off the strikes last night?
I was asked to by Saudi Arabia, by UAE, and by Qatar, and by Iran. We were all set to go just about at this time right now, and it would have been a massive attack. We were all set to go, but when the allies asked to call it off, you got to sort of say, well, let's see. And the reason they asked is I think there's a deal. There's a deal on Hormuz, and then there will be a deal on the nuclear, or you might call it the denuclearization of Iran.
Okay. Yeah. So, what a way to describe President Trump's strategy here is it's a strategy of patience, really. He's in no hurry. Each and every day, the Iranians are losing more. They're losing more weapons. They're losing more men. They're losing more government officials. Their economy is in the tank, and that's going to get worse as time goes on. President Trump has time on his side so far as Iran. Iran doesn't, right? And he's being very, very patient. He's wearing them down. And the people inside Iran, when there's a financial collapse going on, they have a massive inflation. And one thing we never hear, we have never heard any reporting on the Iranian losses, right? How many people have they lost in this operation? We've lost, what, 19? And considering the size of the operation, that's pretty minimal. How many have they lost? We haven't seen any even estimates on that. The press don't want to tell you that because it's been a massive defeat for them. I mean, they had their own version of Pearl Harbor, meaning that we sunk their entire Navy in port and then hit the Soleimani out at sea. All they have left are speedboats. We blew up their Air Force mostly on the ground. They didn't even get off the ground, most of them, and eliminated it, including the IRGC Air Force. The IRGC had their own Air Force as well as the regular Iranian Air Force. I see all these reports out there that the U.S. is low on this, we're low on rockets, we're low on ammo, which is all made up, right? It's completely all made up. But I don't hear any reports on Iranian losses and how low they are on weapons. Because not only have they shot off a bunch, we've been blowing most of it up for 6 months. So why are we not seeing any reports on Iranian losses? Okay, let me pull this up. Another clip of the president in the Air Force One press conference.
The anti-weaponization fund is back on the table. What are your plans?
No, if they don't improve. Look, we have a man named Todd Blanche. He's outstanding in every way. Most of you know who he is. You're not going to find a better person. And everybody agrees. And it's because I backed Cornyn's opponent, and his opponent won in a landslide. That's the only reason it's happening. But I will say there are a lot of people that like. People were hurt so badly.
Yep.
22 suicides, and they were destroyed. Their families were destroyed. There's never been an attack on any group of people in this country, in my opinion. Maybe one. There's one group that was attacked violently and viciously, like these people were attacked. And this would be a reimbursement for the pain that they suffered. A lot of people like it. If they don't approve Todd, I put it back on the table. A lot of people like it. A lot of big supporters of Trump like it.
See, they're freaking out over Todd Blanche because Todd Blanche is doing what, as the acting attorney general, is doing what Pam Bondi wasn't doing, and that's doing the job of being attorney general and bringing to justice all of these criminals that were harassing President Trump and the people around him. You know, let me tell you, you guys, even the liberals out there, this is the greatest president of our lifetime, arguably the greatest president in history, right, of the United States. And he's doing such an incredible job helping the people directly. He's going to be so missed when he's out of office. You guys aren't going to know what to do because he's been on the scene so long. You know, it was like 11 years since he came down the escalator that you think that the way Trump handles things and governs and deals with everything is normal. It's above and beyond anything we've ever seen before when it comes to getting things done and being confident and being competent.
Going to be a massive attack. It was going to be an attack that would have been by far the biggest attack since World War II, but they've asked us not to do it. They said, please.
See, that's interesting. He says it would have been the biggest attack since World War II. Man, we had some big air campaigns in Iraq in the Gulf War I in 91, Gulf War II, the invasion of Afghanistan after 9/11, and it was going to be a larger air campaign than any of those. That's saying a lot.
Going to be a massive attack. It was going to be an attack that would have been by far the biggest attack since World War II, but they've asked us not to do it. They said, please don't do it. Mm-hmm. And their neighbors said that too. And so we're just going to see whether or not we can make a deal toward the denuclearization.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that's it. You know, the Iranians are freaking out right now. And what's happening in Iran are a lot of things. But there's inside Iran, there's a bit of a civil war going on, right? The civilian government, they're so far as Iranians go, they're more rational. No Iranian is truly rational. They're all nuts. But the civilian leadership is a little more rational. And they see what's going on here. And they want all of this to end yesterday. But the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the IRGC, they're religious fanatics and are just complete nuts and don't want to see this end at all. And that's where the problem is. Now, if you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Chris from Chicago.
Hey, Chris.
That low weapon stockpile, wasn't it reported by Fox?
Yeah.
So why do you keep saying it's made up and it's fake?
Well, when they talk about...
So what's your evidence for that?
I'm going to tell you. When they talk about the Fox News report, which I'll play it later, it was Jennifer Griffin over the weekend. I played it on my podcast over the weekend. They're talking about our rockets, right? We're low on Patriots, and then there's another one that starts with a T. I forgot the name. And they say we're low on them. How do they know that?
Well, how do you know we're not low?
No. Well, I'll tell you how I know we're not low, but how would they know that? It seems to me
Well, but I'm
that
saying you don't know what's her source. You
No.
don't know her source.
well, she didn't say.
Well, she's not going to say her source. Clearly, Fox
Well,
been
first
in
off,
the game for years.
what Fox did is treason, and Jennifer Griffin should be arrested.
But they got to have a source.
No, they don't.
There's a reason
No,
why
they don't. They just make crap up. Excuse me, didn't the New York Times claim to have sources with the Russia? And it turns out they just made it all up.
Regardless, Fox been sued before, so I doubt if they're going to go down this rabbit hole again to make.
I'll tell you a couple things, okay, about that story. One, I don't believe it. Two, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Two, it's 100% treason. We are a nation in a very hot combat operation right now, and what Fox News Channel did was give out, if it's true, classified information to the enemy, and they've also given hope and aid and comfort to the enemy, okay, with that story. But in particular, the Patriots. The Patriot missiles, okay? This is not a new... They keep saying we're running out of them. The Patriot missile has been in operation since the early 1980s. So we have over 40 years of the Pentagon buying from the military-industrial complex Patriot missiles. We have been buying them and buying them and buying them. So the idea that we're running low on them, it's absurd.
Didn't we donate a lot of weapons to Zelensky?
We gave some to Zelensky,
Like so.
Yeah, but we've been making Patriot missiles for over 40 years.
But I'm just saying, you don't know the shelf life. You don't know
the shelf
anything.
life. It's not a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk in the fridge.
But you know there's still a shelf life. They're not going to make a missile that's going to sit there for 40, 50 years and still fire it.
I don't know that.
So
I
once
wouldn't say
again,
no. That in fact, one of they made.
Saying,
Excuse me. That's not true. They maintain these weapons. They constantly maintain them, and when they hold on a second here. Since you want to compare the Patriot missile to a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk, at the grocery store, the milk and bread is rotated. They put the ones that are going to expire first in the front, so people buy that. With the Patriot missiles, if there is an expiration date, which I don't believe, that they do the same thing.
All I'm trying to say is you do not know, okay? So you can't say Fox is lying.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that the moon is not made of green cheese either. But I have some common sense and can deduce that it's not.
You can have an opinion. You can say you think they're lying, but you can't just say they're lying. Fox is lying because you don't know.
Sure. We can use logic. And, see, what you're doing is you want it to be true. So you want to believe it.
I don't want anything to be true. I don't want nobody to die. But what I'm saying is you don't know.
You want it to be true. This is a great analogy. Do you have kids?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll know. Okay. Like my daughter, my daughter's 27, but when she was young and she finally found out the big secret about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, okay, when kids learn the truth about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, they know it for a while. They just don't let themselves believe it until they get so old they can't, believe in it anymore. That's what you liberals are like with the Patriot missiles. You want to believe that we are out of rockets, missiles, and ammunition so bad, like a little kid that wants to believe in Santa and the Easter Bunny. You just can't let it in.
No, you don't know what I want, for one. Okay,
yeah, you want America to lose the war to Iran. That's what you want.
Once again, you don't know what I want. All I know is when I say stuff out of my mouth, I like to base it off of factual information. And that's your job to do that. So you don't know if their Fox is lying or not. I don't know, you don't know. So
no,
excuse
me, I'm not a news reporter. Okay, I give this is opinion.
You're right. And
I give. Excuse me for speaking while you're interrupting. I give commentary and analyze the news. And when I'm analyzing the news, as I'm doing with this story, I've got a lot of experience covering these stories, and I've got some common sense.
More like satire, I think.
The satire sometimes comes from liberals like you on the phone, sure.
One more thing. What else you mentioned?
But you do want to believe really hard that we're running low on ammo. And by the way, even if that were true,
I don't want to believe,
even if that were true with the Patriot missile, we have a lot of other weapons too, you know.
Well, regardless, what I'm mad about is we're $100 billion more spent on this war, and we haven't accomplished anything.
That's not true.
Right now, the strait is still closed.
Excuse me, that is not true.
They don't have
Excuse me,
but they don't
you
have.
You said we've spent how much on the war?
According to Pete, $100 billion so far.
That's not entirely true.
That's what he testified to in Congress.
Most of the weapons that we've used, okay, were already bought and paid for. This war's basically been the war. No, hold on a second here. We haven't spent that money. This is where the logic comes in, logical thinking. We haven't spent that much money. These are weapons that have already been bought and paid for. Basically, it's cost gas money. Most of which was bought and paid for, too.
That's what Pete testified in Congress, okay?
Well, there's a difference in using that much money in weaponry and spending money. We have not spent that much. These are weapons that were already bought and paid for, right?
All I know, the question was asked, how much money have we spent so far?
Yeah, I know. See what I mean about the denial? Hear the denial?
Oh, my goodness. It's all right, man. You continue living
Who do you want to win the war? Who do you want to win the war? Who do you want to win the war?
No, I want us to go there and accomplish our goals and stop.
I didn't ask you goals. Who do you want to win the war?
I want the United States to walk away and win. I want the United States to accomplish their goals.
You want us to surrender, and you're going to call us walking away and surrendering a win?
No, I said I want us to accomplish the goals that we set out to do.
Which are what?
What Trump keep repeating?
Well, what goals do you want?
They don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. Mm-hmm. They don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. That's all he keeps saying.
So you agree? So you agree with President Trump? Okay, so you agree with President Trump?
I agree, but I don't agree how much money is it going to cost? How long do you want us to be over there? Like, you're saying, it's not a timetable. It is a timetable because we wanted to be out of there before the midterms.
Says you.
And overall, this war only have a 34% approval rating amongst Americans and only a 72% amongst Republicans. So it's a problem.
So the vast majority of Republicans, according to your numbers, support President Trump's actions. That's fine. That means we're going to win the midterms. Who cares what Democrats think?
No.
It doesn't matter what Democrats think. You're not in power, and you're not going to...
It does matter what independents think. And it's only have a 25% amongst independents approval rating. So those are the ones who show up.
Then you should be happy. Then you should be happy.
Regardless if I'm happy or not about the dumb decisions as Trump keep making all these stupid decisions, it's funny how you keep supporting him. You don't call him out on his mistakes.
What mistakes? What mistakes?
And say, just like the same thing, you want him to support the information about the reflecting pond. It was phony. It was phony, fabricated intel.
No.
Yes, that's why. That's why you need to read why she decided to pull the case.
I read it. You're talking about Judge Janine.
They fabricated evidence.
Judge Janine Judge Janine obviously has been compromised.
No, she literally stated they fabricated evidence. That's
because
why
she what evidence was fabricated? She's the one who went to the
clearly
they got an indictment. So she fabricated evidence? She said she committed a crime?
No. The evidence that was presented to her was fabricated. That's why she pulled the case. She's not going to put her law license in jeopardy.
Oh, I heard that talking point. She went to a federal grand jury.
Not a talking point. It's what she
Judge
said.
Janine went to a federal grand jury in D.C. and got an indictment.
Once again, the evidence was fabricated.
So she took phony evidence to a grand jury?
Yes, she did. So that's why she dropped the case. That's why she never took it in front of a federal judge.
I hope that President Trump fires her this week.
Why? Why would
because
you
she's
want her to
obviously
take fabricated evidence to trial?
What evidence was fabricated?
Right. She told, it was reports of the killing before he even got locked up.
Hold on a second. You said the evidence was fabricated against the Olympian. What evidence was fabricated?
about the knives and everything, that he cut the reflecting pool.
No,
and
he
all
wasn't
that.
accused
That
of
was the
cutting.
problem.
No, he wasn't accused of cutting it. No, he wasn't accused of cutting it. He reached in.
There was documentation.
He reached in and pulled up some of the bottom. Is what he did. He didn't. He wasn't accused of using a knife.
It was documented that the reflecting pool was peeling before he even got it arrested.
In fact, CNN did a water test with an expert and said they found fertilizer in the water.
Regardless, they said.
And the fertilizer was to feed the algae, so algae would grow.
Once again, but he didn't do that. They had no evidence of him putting fertilizer in the water.
So this is
That's
interesting.
The problem. You can't lock somebody up with no
your
evidence.
source. This is amazing to me. You know, so your source today is Fox News and Judge Jeanine. So you all of a sudden Fox News and Judge Jeanine are the voices of truth?
Judge Jeanine is not going to put her law license in jeopardy, so that's why she dropped the case.
You cited two sources that you would not normally cite,
That's right.
Judge Jeanine and Fox News.
That I know the right wing believe, that I know people like you believe. That's the sources I cite. I don't want to use CNN because that's not going to help. Mm-hmm. So I don't want you. So if Fox put it on air.
So
I know that
Judge,
Fox.
No, MAGA is not a fan of Fox. We don't trust Fox News. Haven't for a long time, for years. MAGA people do not trust Fox.
All I know is she's not going to put her law license in jeopardy with
fabricated I'm so glad that you liberals are concerned about Judge Jeanine's law license.
I'm not concerned, but why would you want her to put her law license in jeopardy?
She went to a federal grand jury and got an indictment in a D.C. grand jury on a Trump case.
Fabricated evidence. What are you not understanding?
So she took phony evidence. She took phony evidence to a grand jury.
Yes.
So she's incompetent. So you're saying she's incompetent or corrupt? Which is it? Incompetent or corrupt?
She found this out before she went to trial. That's why she dropped the charges.
In your opinion, is she incompetent or corrupt?
If she found this out before she went to trial, clearly she's smart.
No, she went to a federal grand jury, man. So she's either incompetent or corrupt.
Once again, she's not in a cult. She's not going to put her law license in jeopardy with fabricated evidence.
You keep repeating this law license thing, but you believe.
Why would you want her if she's presented? Let me ask you a question real quick.
That kind of reporting is collusion with the enemy. Mm-hmm. If that's what's happened, they shouldn't even say anything, because what it does is the Iranians say, "Oh, geez, look, now we got the United States over a barrel, because if we threaten them, or we shoot a couple of even if we have 20 rockets, we tell them, well, we're going to shoot 2 of them right into your oil reserves or your oil wells," they go nuts.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter that we haven't beaten the hell out of these people, but the way this thing has been fought back and forth gives this guy that just called up.
Well, hold on with me. The phones are ringing off the hook. Yeah, the guy from Chicago with the Judge Jeanine law license.
Yeah, and the whole left wing media, the Sunday talk shows, they have the opportunity to say we're out of patriots because President Trump backed out. You know, if he's going to have a secret attack, folks, it's not a secret if the press goes out and blabs it all over the place. And that's what happened.
Well, the thing with the Fox News report, Richie, I'm of the personal opinion that Fox News's reporting was high treason. We're in a hot war, and when they go out and report that which I don't believe the story, but it doesn't have to be true to be treason. They're doing is giving hope to the enemy during a major combat operation, telling them we're low on ammo, which is absurd.
That happened in Vietnam, man. When they were broadcasting the Jane Fondas and everyone else, and they were showing the protests back home, they said, "Hey, look, they're fighting back in their house. We just have to hold on, and the longer we drag this out, the more they'll fight, and we'll win this thing." And that's exactly what's happening once again. You know, not for nothing, and I'm going to say this to you. You're not going to agree with it. I mean, President Trump is the ultimate arbitrator. He makes the decisions. When politicians get deep into a war, that's when we lose wars or we don't win wars. And the point being this: President Trump took Raising Cain and he made him the general, and he knows what he's doing. To me, he's probably the best general I've seen since MacArthur.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I don't think that his hands have been freed. I think that he's 1 week he's freed, and next week he's tied up. And I think the reason, basically, why maybe in the fact that we were going to have a secret attack on them, and and the press just blasted it all over that Israel was going to jump in there, and everyone was going to hit them. No longer a secret, folks, when the enemy hears all this stuff, And I think that a lot of it also has to do with that President Trump loves human life.
Yep.
And he doesn't want to kill people.
That's what he said yesterday. He says, I don't want to kill people, he said.
Yeah, he doesn't want to kill people. So his heart is saying, no, let's give peace a chance, the old saying. But you got to let this thing end by just doing what you have to do with the everything that I talked about yesterday. You just can't just say, it's like a boxer, Brian. Nothing. It's like a boxer in a ring. He's in there with another guy, and the guy's beat him for 9 rounds, and the guy can hardly get out of his corner. And the guy that's beating him says, well, I beat him enough. Look how bad I beat him. He's all bloodied up. I'm leaving the ring. You know what happens? The guy that stands in the ring for round 10 is the winner of the fight because the other guy walked away.
Yeah.
We have to finish the job. We can't be listening to Saudi Arabia or the press or anybody else because the way we're fighting it right now, you got the media and the left wing making all sorts, trying to make Trump look bad. He's not telling the truth because we're out of weapons.
Well, he can't run the war based on what the media are going to say because they're always going to hate on him and report negative things no matter what he does.
Right, but the midterms are coming and the media's loving it.
And we're going to win the midterms. And we're going to win the midterms.
Yeah, but with what? Yeah, I was going to say with what the Democrats are putting out, the communist crazy people. Okay, we should in all polls be so far ahead. I mean, so far ahead in everything. They should. The American people should reject these crazy people.
We are.
We're going to find out with the.
All right, Richie. I'm going to move on, but you can call back because it's the pre-show. You can call back during the regular show.
You.
All right, take care. Richie gets the golden ticket. By the way, this is the pre-show. The radio show has not begun yet. If you're on hold, hang in there. The number is 888-465-2631. Doesn't quite make sense to me. The only thing that the Democrats are consistent with and the Never Trumpers is you're consistently inconsistent. And I'm going to lay out, after the radio show begins in a few minutes, what President Trump's strategy is here, okay? But as I started at the beginning of the stream, with these constant reports that we are low on ammunition, which is a completely made-up thing, right? I mean, it's just a completely made-up thing that the left want to believe so bad, okay? Why are we not seeing any reports on Iranian losses or what the Iranians have left so far as ammunition, right? I haven't seen a single report. We have wiped out so much of their military that their losses are in the tens of thousands, easily in the tens of thousands. And so far as being low on ammo, they're not able to replenish. Mostly what they've been doing is going through the rubble where we've blown things up and finding things that have not been destroyed yet, right? Let me pull. I'm going to play this. I'm pulling up a clip I'm going to open the show with. They have basically been putting together whatever has not been blown up at the different sites that we've attacked and using that. We've blown up their munitions factories. We have a complete blockade around the entire country, so they can't ship anything new in, right? So why aren't you reporting on how low they are on ammo, how low they are on equipment? I haven't heard a single story about that at all. Now, those of you that are Medicare recipients, I want to talk to you about Chapter. If you are a Medicare recipient, which I'll be in 10 years, I'm looking forward to it, you want to call Chapter. They'll review your policy at no charge. It'll be reviewed by a licensed Medicare advisor. And you can call them, it's completely free of charge. You can call them no matter what state you are in. There's over 25,000 Medicare policies, and Chapter, because they're a nationwide company, have access to all of them. And they will review your policy at no charge and make sure that you have the right policy for you. If you're paying extra, for supplements, they'll make sure that you're not paying too much. Or if you even need that supplement, maybe there's a better option where you don't have to pay for a supplement. Give them a call no matter where you are located. 805-754-3033. 805-754-3033. And remember, it costs you nothing. And if the plan you have is the right plan and the best plan for you, they'll tell you that, and you'll know, and you'll have the confidence of that knowledge. 805-754-3033. All right? That's Chapter. Give them a call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, I had a question about
I'm sure you do. Oh, man, I tell you. You can always tell when things are going well for Trump and for us. Okay, Mike at the radio station just texted me, told me what time the radio show is going to begin, and what spots to do, what live reads I have to do during this hour. Let me just take a look. Let's see here. Okay. All right, we got it. Okay. Now, if you're on hold, stand by. I'll go back to the phones when the radio show starts because we're going to start in just a couple of minutes. If you're new to the program, my name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk, and I am live every morning of the week, all right? All 7 days of the week, you'll catch me here. And when I'm in the studio, I'm taking live calls, okay, like you've heard me do so far this morning. And if you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free number, and it is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We're about 2 minutes away from the radio show starting, and we're going to continue with what we are doing. I got to get this together. Okay, got to do this one, and this one, and this one. All right. I'm getting my commercial copy together. So anytime I'm in one of the studios, I'm taking live calls. All opinions are welcome, okay? Whether you agree or disagree, you're welcome to call in. All opinions are welcome. But now that the radio show is about to begin, you have to watch your language on the radio, okay? In the pre-show, you can be a little more salty, but when there's regulations on the radio, so you got to be careful. Okay, we got less than 2 minutes, and we will be live. When you look at what we've done, President Trump's strategy is to reduce Iran from a major military power into an insignificant nation in the region, and that is exactly what he has done. And they no longer can wage war. They don't even have the ability to fight back at us because they haven't. You don't think they want to? Of course they want to. We got about a minute and then the radio show will begin. Of course they want to, but they can't. And if they could, they would. We've had no Islamic terror attacks from Iran against the United States. We have been bombing them the last couple of weeks without mercy. They don't even have the ability to try to knock our rockets out of the sky. They've been degraded so much. Now, they got a couple of lucky shots off here and there in this, and we've lost 19. But how many have they lost? We got about 30 seconds. So if you're on hold, hang in there. The number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. I'll open up the radio show, do a little introduction and set up to what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to introduce something that I've not played yet in the beginning and ask a question about that, and then we'll get back to what the president had to say. Okay, we got 15 seconds. 15 seconds. 10 seconds. Stand by. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is the longest-running radio show in the state of Florida, the Steve Kane Show on the radio since 1977. Welcome, one and all. And we've got a lot to cover, okay? President Trump's done some big things in the last 24 hours, and a lot is going on involving Iran. There's been a lot of reporting, and I'm going to play you a clip in just a moment. There's been a lot of reporting that the United States is running low on ammunition. Do any of you believe that? Now, I know the liberals want to believe it, so they keep promoting it. And it just cracks me up how the liberals' primary source of information is Fox News Channel all of a sudden. All of a sudden, the liberals love Fox News Channel. But over the weekend, I want to play you this clip. This is Fox News over the weekend.
Well, the Pentagon is confronting...
Jennifer Griffin, by the way, at Fox News, who's their chief national security reporter.
Well, the Pentagon is confronting a growing reality after months of fighting in Iran. America's stockpile of missile defense interceptors is shrinking so much that military planners are weighing whether they can continue the current cycle of limited retaliatory strikes. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, using open source budget numbers, estimates U.S. Patriot interceptor inventories have fallen from roughly 2,300 pre-war to fewer than 827, while THAAD interceptors have dropped from 452 to fewer than 278. CSIS warns rebuilding those stockpiles could take 3 years or more.
Okay, so first off, I don't believe this story to be true. That's number one. But Fox News' Jennifer Griffin is reporting that we're running out of ammunition. Now, this is something the liberals have been talking about the last week or so. And, you know, the liberals are all into something. There's this liberal thing called manifesting, that if you wish it, it will come true, right? If you wish for money to come to you, there'll be a check in your mailbox, right? I mean, that's manifesting. So liberals have been saying this for the last couple of weeks. Jennifer Griffin has reported this with a fancy bar graph showing that we have as few as 759 Patriot missiles left, and when the fighting started, we had over 2,000. I don't believe that story, which I'll explain to you in a moment about the absurdity of it. But even if it is true, what's Fox News doing here? If we are running low on these important missiles, the Patriots, isn't that classified top secret information? How did she get it? If it's true, how did she get this information? If it's true, she has a source that is giving her some of the most top secret classified intel there is. Someone's committed a major crime. So let me just stop there for a moment. This story came out on Saturday. Jennifer Griffin's story was on Saturday. And we know that the Trump White House prosecute leakers without mercy. Right? So, highly classified information about weapon stockpiles on a primary weapon being used against Iran in this war gets leaked out very specifically with numbers. And you mean to tell me that the Trump administration is not actively announcing that there's a leaker that they're after? Since when do they not announce when they're after leakers? This has been a common thing with the Trump administration in this entire second term. That's one question. Another question is this. Whether the story is true or not, okay, whether the story is true or not, is Jennifer Griffin committing treason here? Is she betraying her country? We're involved in a very hot combat operation against Iran. And when Jennifer Griffin from Fox News Channel goes on the air with a fancy bar graph with very specific numbers on it and is reporting, so the Iranians hear it, of course they monitor this stuff, that we're running low on the primary weapon we're using against them, the Patriot missile, is she's giving aid and comfort to the enemy, as well as giving them classified top secret information. And what this does is tell them to hold out. The Americans' weapon stockpile is low. And this is a great recruitment tool. A lot of their troops that they have left probably want to leave and desert, but aren't. Don't leave, don't run home. The Americans are almost out of ammunition. Look, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News Channel, reported this. So whether the story is true or not, is it not treason for her to report this? I am as serious as a heart attack. You know, when we dropped the nuclear bombs on Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it's commonly known now that the Japanese surrendered because they were afraid, right? Why did the Japanese surrender? They didn't surrender after the first. We had to drop a second one a couple of days later, and then they surrendered. So why did the Japanese surrender then? Because they were afraid that we were going to drop A-bombs on all of the Japanese cities, including Tokyo. What they did not know is that we didn't have any more weapons. In fact, not only did we not have any more nuclear bombs to drop on Japan, we didn't have enough plutonium to weaponize a bomb. We could make a bomb, but it wouldn't work because we didn't have enough plutonium for a nuclear bomb. If the press in 1945, next month is going to be the 80th anniversary of the surrender of the Japanese. So if the press had reported after we dropped the second bomb that the United States does not have any more nuclear bombs and they don't have enough plutonium to make one even if they tried, do you think the Japanese would have surrendered then? And would a reporter in 1945 reporting that have been reporting classified information and commit treason? Absolutely. And they would have got a lot of people killed, Americans, allies, and Japanese, because there would have been the war would have been prolonged. And I think it's at this point, I think it's fair, looking back, that there were reporters who knew that. Right? There were reporters that knew that, but they didn't report it, because that would have been treason. It would have given aid and comfort to the enemy. Well, isn't that what Jennifer Griffin's doing right now? She's giving, is what Jennifer Griffin done a crime in your mind? I think it is. I mean, I'm shocked. This is the kind of reporting I expect at MS Now or CNN.
Well, the Pentagon is confronting a growing reality after months of fighting in Iran. America's stockpile of missile defense interceptors is shrinking so much that military planners are weighing whether they can continue the current cycle of limited retaliatory strikes. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, using open source budget numbers, estimates U.S. Patriot interceptor inventories have fallen from roughly 2,300 pre-war to fewer than 827, while THAAD interceptors have dropped from 452 to fewer than 278. CSIS warns rebuilding those stockpiles could take 3 years or more.
Oh, so not only are we almost out of weapons, it'll take us 3 years to rebuild them. So once they're out, we're out, and we don't have them anymore. Come on. Come on. Now, I know Jennifer Griffin doesn't like Pete Hegseth, okay? They've had some run-ins in the press briefings. So she's probably attracted to him, and she hates him because she doesn't have a chance. But that certainly is, whether she's aware of it or not, that is infecting her mind and affecting her reporting. This is some of the most irresponsible reporting I have ever seen. And for it to come from Fox News Channel is more than just disappointing. It's disgusting, and it's shameful. Now, oh man, I tell you, it is, it's summertime. It is hot, man. I tell you, I picked, my daughter has spent the last few weeks, she was out in LA for the last 3 weeks or so, and she just came back yesterday, and I picked her up at the airport, and it was 5 a.m. She gets off the plane. We walk outside to the car, with her luggage, and she says, it's so hot and humid in Florida. She's been away, so her body has readjusted to the California climate, and I don't even notice it, but it is hot. No doubt about it. But the humidity, you get used to it. In Florida, when I remember when I used to, before I lived in Florida, when I was a little kid, and we would fly here in the summertime, I remember getting off the plane and the air just felt so heavy. The other day I went to check the mail, and I was cooking. I went to check the mail. I come back in the house, I'm sweating. I just walked to the mailbox and back because it's so hot. If you have an air conditioning unit that is running all day long, right? And if you have rooms in your house that no matter what you set the AC to and no matter how long it runs, they never cool off, you need a new air conditioning unit. You want to call Sloman Central Air Conditioning. And listen to this. Sloman Central Air Conditioning has an incredible offer. With Sloman Central Air Conditioning, you can get a high-efficiency, 5-ton, 18-SEER system that uses R454B refrigerant for just $59.99. What an incredible deal. Just $59.99 with zero down, zero payments, and zero interest for 18 months. It also comes with a 5-year bumper-to-bumper service plan, including annual system maintenance, filter replacements, and refrigerant. So there's no annual maintenance cost. You'll also receive the Sloman Shield home security system installed with 5 years of professional central station monitoring included in your AC package. Give Sloman's a call. Here's the number, 561-217-COOL. That's COOL. 561-217-COOL. 561-217-COOL. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. We'll take our break. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll take a quick break and be right back. All right, now if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free and pinned in the live chat. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a simple way to bring more wellness into your everyday life? You can do just that with Veda Life, your trusted source for premium wellness products inspired by natural living and timeless traditions. From beautifully crafted copper water bottles, copper mugs, to eco-friendly cork yoga mats and wellness accessories, every product is thoughtfully selected to support a healthier lifestyle. Complete your self-care routine with Veda Life's Elegance Bronze Tools, designed to help you relax, refresh, and rejuvenate. Whether you're building a wellness routine or searching for that perfect gift, Veda Life offers quality products you'll enjoy for years to come. They ship worldwide too, making it easy to experience premium wellness wherever you are. Follow Veda Life on Facebook and Instagram at Veda Life CA. That's VEDA. And visit them online at VedaLife.ca to explore the complete collection. That's VedaLife.ca, where wellness meets quality. VedaLife.ca. Our world is filled with confusion, deception, and uncertainty. Where can you turn for the truth? Bible Prophecy and Truth is a Christ-centered ministry dedicated to proclaiming the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ and shining the light of God's Word into a world darkened by deception. Discover powerful videos that explain what the Bible says about salvation and what you must do to be saved. Explore fascinating teachings on Bible prophecy, the rapture. There's also an in-depth creation versus evolution study that will strengthen your faith and deepen your understanding of Scripture. And that's just the beginning. Whether you're a lifelong believer, a new Christian, or simply searching for answers, Bible Prophecy and Truth offers biblical teaching rooted in God's truth. Visit videos.prophecyandtruth.com. That's videos.prophecyandtruth.com and discover the truth, strengthen your faith, and grow closer to Jesus Christ. Videos.prophecyandtruth.com.
All right, we'll be back in just over a minute. If you're on hold, stand by. The number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It is a toll-free call, no matter where you are tuned in from, all right? 888-465-2631. Let's see, hold on. 1 minute, we'll be back. Mm-hmm. 1 minute. Oh boy, I tell you, there's nothing that Democrats hate more than the United States winning, right? They hate that more than anything. 30 seconds and we'll be back. 20 seconds. That's what really drives them nuts. Stand by. Yeah, no, you're all welcome to call in regardless of opinions. Very few rules. You can't use profanity, and it's one call per show. That's it. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. So the president, he called off the largest airstrike since the Second World War, he says. And this is really amazing. And, President Trump, the strategy that he has is a strategy of patience. It's a strategy of patience. President Trump has time on his side. He's in no rush. And, he said on Air Force One, he says, I don't want to kill people. If he would have gone, think about this now. Now, it could still happen. But if he would have unleashed this airstrike that he talked about, the largest air campaign the United States has launched since the Second World War. That's what he said. Now, that's saying a lot because we've had some big air campaigns in the Gulf War I and Gulf War II, and even in Afghanistan after 9/11. So that's saying a lot. And if he would have done that, if there would have been an air campaign, the likes we have not seen since Germany in the Second World War, what would that have looked like? If we obliterate the country in their infrastructure, it moves from a military operation to a humanitarian crisis. And what that means is during a humanitarian crisis, that means we'd have to go in there and take care of that. The humanitarian crisis, when you move from a military operation to a humanitarian crisis, that means that we would have an obligation, legally and morally, to go in. That means boots on the ground. And then what happens next? You've got an Iranian Revolutionary Guard insurgency, and we've got a ground war going on. So you want to try to avoid that, or at least put it off for as long as possible, but you really want to try to avoid it. And what President Trump is doing is a strategy of patience. And he has all the time in the world to deal with this. And he's not making decisions in this war based on a news cycle or some self-important influencer online. He's got one of the greatest military minds this country has ever had, and that's General Kane, who defeated ISIS in just a couple of short weeks. I was mentioning last week, I've been reading this incredible book by Stephen A. Ambrose, on the D-Day book by Stephen A. Ambrose. And I've read a whole bunch of Stephen A. Ambrose's books. He's the guy who wrote Band of Brothers. I've read Band of Brothers, his biography of Eisenhower. He wrote a great book on World War II bomber pilots called Wild Blue, Undaunted Courage about Lewis and Clark. In fact, I use Stephen Ambrose's book, Undaunted Courage. I use it as a shelf in the studio here. It's a great book. I've read it twice. And I'm reading his book on D-Day. And I was mentioning to you guys last week, I saw that new movie about Eisenhower called Pressure with about the D-Day invasion and all of that, and how graphic the D-Day invasion was. And you see these guys, the doors open, and they just get mowed down by the Nazis. And I'm reading this book on D-Day, and there was a debate among the generals. The Air Force generals during the D-Day planning did not want to invade like that. They wanted to bomb the oil refineries and oil fields that the Nazis had deep, deep, deep behind enemy territory. And they wanted to concentrate their bombing on that before there was an invasion so they'd run out of fuel. And Eisenhower said, no, that would take too long. That would take too long. We got to go now. So how many guys just got mowed down when the Higgins boat door opened, because Eisenhower, like most American military leaders, was impatient. And I promise you, General Kane, these guys, they study at the War College, they study military history. I'm just reading a book by Stephen Ambrose. General Kane and Pete Hegseth have been studying this stuff their entire life. And they're aware of exactly what I'm talking about and much more. They're both combat soldiers, so they know. Right? And what President Trump is doing is fighting a war in a very patient way so that we have a minimum loss of life on both sides, by the way. Isn't that a good thing? In fact, I would say that President Trump and his team are fighting a war in a way that's going to be the future model for how the United States fights wars. Because enough of what they're doing. Things have gotten out of hand. You don't want to just go in, and if we blow everything up, we got to go in. Now, he may have to bring back that massive airstrike that hasn't been seen since the Second World War. He may have to do that. But that's a last resort. Once we go in, even if it's for a humanitarian crisis, we're in trouble. The Iraqi insurgency, and there was a Vietnam insurgency too, but the Iraqi insurgency was a mess. It went on for years. Do you want a replay of that? If you're a Democrat, you probably do. Because what really has the Democrats upset is that the loss of life has been so low for the United States. What is it, 19? That's incredibly low for a campaign of this size. And so the war has been going by total perfection. And not only is it perfection, the loss of life is so low. Right? And the Democrats want to put Trump in a situation where the body count is high because they can use that in a news cycle to hurt Trump. Think about how sick they are that they want to see U.S. service personnel killed so that they can have a bad news afternoon for President Trump. That's where their mind is. If you're on hold, hang in there. We will take some calls. I'm going to play some clips of the president, too, after the next break. And if you would like to call in, the number's toll-free, no matter where you're listening, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are. And all opinions are welcome, whether you agree or disagree. Now, I want to talk to those of you that suffer from neuropathy. You might have neuropathy and don't even know it. The symptoms are just god-awful. Do you have numbness, pain, burning, tingling in your hands and feet, muscle weakness? Are you dizzy? Do you fall down all the time? Do you nearly fall down? Do your muscles twitch? Do you have the feeling of pins and needles in your hands and feet? Maybe you have no feeling at all. Oh, man. Neuropathy, if you have those symptoms, you very well may have neuropathy. You want to call Lighthouse Medical, and they'll examine you. They'll do the test and find out. If you already know you have neuropathy, know this. Neuropathy only gets worse. It only gets worse. And man, oh man, does it get bad. Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano have a treatment for neuropathy that works and it lasts. I've met many listeners in this audience who were suffering from neuropathy and they've gotten their life back. Give them a call. The consultation's free if you mention you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. All right, call us on hold. Don't go anywhere. We'll take our break for the bottom of the hour and be back after this. Okay, guys, if you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free. It's pinned in the live chat. Be right back.
If you're a business owner, founder, or marketer, you already know that great content matters. The problem is finding the time to write it or the budget to keep hiring writers. That's where maywrites.co comes in. Think of maywrites.co as your on-demand writing employee. Need blog posts? No problem. Newsletters? They do that too. LinkedIn content? No worries. Website copy? Even an ebook? Just send your request. There's no pre-word charges, no per-project invoices, and no surprise cost. With maywrites.co, you get unlimited writing requests for one simple monthly rate. It's like having a professional writer on your team. You'll get fast turnaround, consistent quality, and the freedom to stop worrying about who will write your next piece of content. Best of all, you can try it free for 7 days. If it's not the right fit, you can cancel anytime. Stop chasing writers, stop paying by the project, and start creating more content with less stress. Visit maywrites.co right now. That's maywrites, maywrites.co, your on-demand writing employee. Life can leave us with a lot of questions. Why did this happen to me? Why do I keep repeating the same patterns? And where is God in all of it? If you've ever asked those questions, you need to tune into the Healing Philosophers podcast with The Healing Philosopher on Spotify. Through honest conversations and real-life experiences, each episode explores topics like healing from past hurts, generational karma, letting go of what's holding you back, understanding narcissism, and discovering how God can use even life's hardest moments for a greater purpose. The Healing Philosophers podcast is about finding hope, growing in your faith, and realizing that your story and every season of your life has meaning. Add the Healing Philosophers podcast to your Spotify playlist and make sure to share the podcast on all your social media and invite your friends and family to listen in too. Your share could be exactly what someone else needs right now. The Healing Philosophers podcast with the Healing Philosopher on Spotify. Healing starts with one conversation. Listen now on Spotify.
All right, we'll be back in less than a minute, guys. So if you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to get to some of the sound bites when we get back. Okay, we got about 35 seconds or so. Yep, the number's pinned in the live chat. Those of you that are watching on the vertical live stream where you see the green wall behind me, if you want to see and hear all the audio and video, you got to go to my main stream here on YouTube. Go to the other stream. You can see and hear all the audio and video that I play. All right? And the number to call in is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. All right, less than 10 seconds. We're back. I'm Brian. If you're on hold, hang in there. So the president had on Air Force One last night one of his press conferences in the doorway, and I always love these. He does them all the time, and I want to play some of it now. And he's talking about the situation with Iran and some of the other hot issues going on today.
So we had an attack that would be the biggest attack since World War II, and it would have been disastrous for them, and they didn't want us to do it.
They didn't want us to do it because they would have been wiped out. See, in Iran, there's a civil war going on in Iran between the government. The civilian government, they want this to end. They're crazy too, but they're not as crazy, all right, the civilians. But the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, are religious fanatics, and they want to go down with the ship, literally, right? And that's why things are not completely over. But this war was won by the United States on day one when the first bomb dropped and we took out the Ayatollah Khomeini on day one.
Tested by Saudi Arabia, by UAE, by Qatar, and by Iran. We were all set to go just about at this time right now, and it would have been a massive attack. We were all set to go, but when the Allies asked to call it off, you got to sort of say, well, let's see. And the reason they asked is I think there's a deal. There's a deal on Hormuz, and then there will be a deal on the nuclear, or you might call it the denuclearization of Iran. I call it the denuclearization of Iran. So we're holding it. We'll just see. We can do it anytime we want, but we're asked by the three primary groups. We're also asked by Iran, very strongly, actually. They said, we'd like to make a deal. Now, I don't know what they say, because a lot of times they'll say that to me, and then they'll go out and say, we don't know what he's talking about. Obviously, they don't want to be attacked. And they knew the extent of the attack because they saw it forming.
Yeah, they saw it forming because it's been happening around them. So they knew. They saw what was coming, and they begged Trump to stop. The Iranians begged the president to stop. All these clips I'm playing now are from the president's Air Force One press conference last night, okay?
What prompted you to call off the strikes last night?
I was asked to by Saudi Arabia, by UAE, and by Qatar, and by Iran. We were all set to go, just about at this time right now, and it would have been a massive attack. We're all set to go, but when the allies asked to call it off, you got to sort of say, well, let's see. And the reason they asked is they think there's a deal. There's a deal on Hormuz, and then there will be a deal on the nuclear, or you might call it the denuclearization of Iran.
Yeah, and if you notice, President Trump said we still have our forces standing by. So he could give the order for the attack any moment. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Doc from Texas.
Hey, Doc. What's up?
Hey, man. How you this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm fine. I'm good. Hey, look. I was calling this morning about, they said, Trump said Iran called him, told him they was trying to make a deal, or told him to stop. I don't think Trump is lying. I think Trump is lying.
Oh, you think Iran wanted us to obliterate the country? You think they wanted us to blow
lying.
them up?
Trump is lying.
No, okay.
Trump is lying. Trump got it.
So
Trump
Iran.
Is,
so hold on.
Can I talk, Brian?
Well,
can I talk?
So Iran wanted us to bomb them? I'm confused. I don't understand what you're saying.
Please? Can I talk, please? Can I talk, please?
You can have. Go ahead.
Trump is lying. Iran did not call. Trump is trying to get out of Iran the quickest way he can, because he didn't get into that mud hole he can't get out of it. And that's his bottom line. He's lying. So, okay, you can go ahead now.
Oh, I can. Oh, thank you so much. You're such a nice guy. I can actually speak.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me that Iran wanted us to bomb them?
Brian, Trump is lying.
You know, I heard that. You've said the same thing over about a dozen times. So are you incapable of using other words and phrases put together in sentences? Or can you just repeat the same thing over and over?
Because I'm tired of Iran. I'm tired of Trump. Because this doesn't make no sense, Brian. I mean, he didn't got us into this quicksand, and he doesn't know how to get us out. And nobody
what quicksand are we in? Where are we? Hold on a second. Quicksand means we're dying and sink. Where are we losing? Where's Iran winning?
We're losing this every day.
Well, share with me how we're losing and Iran is winning.
We have gotten to this. Gas is up. Gas, it's not going down.
No, give me an example of Iran winning.
Iran is not winning. Nobody wins.
Oh, Iran's not winning, so we're winning. So if Iran's not winning, we're winning.
Brian. We're not winning either. Nobody wins, Brian.
Iran has lost their army, air force, and navy.
And they still shooting. What are they? You know what? I'm about to say a cuss word.
Why would you use a cuss word?
Because what are they? Because I was ready to use a cuss word. You keep saying they lost their arm, but obviously they're doing something. Somebody's shooting something at us.
Everything they've shot at us, we've shot down.
But
they don't have the ability to hit us.
Those dead soldiers, young soldiers.
We've lost 19. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How many of the Iranians lost? How many do you think they've lost?
I don't know. They lost too many too.
Well, do you think it's fair to say that they've lost thousands and thousands?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've lost 19, and they've lost thousands upon thousands. Who's winning?
Too many. We lost too many. One is too many, Brian.
If we've lost 19 and they've lost thousands and thousands, who's winning?
Well, nobody winning, Brian. Nobody wins.
Yeah, we are. We're winning.
We're not.
Sure.
You know, why don't you get yourself out there and go on that line and fight that war? Since you
first off, there's no boots on the ground, so there's no front line. You want me to learn how to fly? You want me to learn how to fly You want me to learn how to fly a fighter jet? And before this war's over?
Go ahead and do that. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and do that. Since you like I'm saying, nobody's winning.
We have a 100% volunteer military. Everyone in the service wants to be there doing what they're doing. That's why they enlisted.
No, they don't. They're there because they didn't have a choice. They volunteered to go to the military. They didn't volunteer to go fight a war.
Well, what do you join the military? What do you do? Why do you join the military?
Because most people join the military to help pay for college.
Oh, so you think? So you think that the people in the military are just poor people that can't get a student loan?
No, Brian, I'm not saying
and
that, Brian.
They have no choice but to join the military.
Some are there to help pay for college,
Really?
tuition.
So what about the people? What about those that are career military?
Yeah, they're there because they want to be in the military.
We have the military. We have There's no draft, right? We have a 100% volunteer military. They have all volunteered to be in the military. So this is what they've dedicated their lives to and volunteered for.
Okay, yeah. I understand that, Brian.
So they want to be there.
Yes.
Well, you get benefits as somebody in the service. Sure, you get benefits.
Yeah.
But you still are volunteering to fight for the United States when called upon.
They didn't volunteer to go help fight a war that Trump started.
Sure.
In
fact, in President Trump's second term,
tell Trump to let Barron and his granddaughters go fight that war.
Barron does not qualify for military service. He's too tall.
Why don't he?
He's too tall. They have requirements. They have limitations. He's too tall.
Okay.
He's too tall. He doesn't. He's not.
He
couldn't. He couldn't volunteer and enlist if he wanted to.
Like his dad. He's gonna be like his dad.
He's too tall.
He's thinking like his dad.
I'm too old. And I'm too old.
Tell Arrogant Don Jr. to go volunteer there.
He's too old.
Tell Trump granddaughters
There's an age cutoff.
Tell his grandchildren to go volunteer.
Why?
Yeah.
It's a volunteer force.
Their grandfather sending people over there.
Oh, so this is interesting. Volunteer. So you think people are responsible for their fathers and grandfathers?
Right. I'm not saying that. He's sending other people.
No, you're telling me that people are responsible for their fathers and grandfathers.
I'm not saying that, Brian.
That's what you just said,
Brian.
That's what you said. So you want children and old men to enlist in the military because you don't like Trump?
I want Trump's grandchildren to go enlist. Their grandfather started this.
Yeah.
But they won't because they're sitting up there in their comfortable houses on granddad's money.
On granddad's money.
They're not gonna know how.
So this is interesting. So you want to bring back the draft?
No.
Well, we have a 100% volunteer military, but you want to force Kai Trump to join the military?
I didn't think tell her to go volunteer.
She's one of President Trump's grandchildren. She just turned 18. She's old enough, right? So she's the oldest. The other ones are underage. So you want to draft Trump's grandkids and children?
No, I didn't say let them go volunteer, Ryan.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Oh my goodness. You know, the Democrats I've heard from this morning are just not really with it. They're not thinking clearly. No, Barron is too tall. He's not qualified for military service. That's true. I was over at Friendly Tire the other day, and I ran into a listener who was over there having a tire repair done. He says, yeah, I'm over here because he does tire repairs. None of these other places do tire repairs. And that's exactly right. I didn't realize this. But until a few years ago, I was out of town with my daughter, and I ran over a nail or a screw or something, and the tire was low. And I was up in Orlando for Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Orlando, and I went to a local tire shop in Orlando. They said, we don't do repairs. We only sell new tires. And I said, I can see the screw in the tire. You can't no, we don't do tire. So I actually drove the car all the way home. that day, and I stopped at every rest plaza and filled up with air. I mean, that was just ridiculous because I just needed a simple repair, and it was the weekend, and then it was a Sunday, and then I went in on Monday to Friendly Tire and got it repaired, and I told this to Mike. He says, yeah, the other tire shops, they don't do repairs. Isn't that insane? He just did repairs on one of the tires on my Kia a few weeks ago. So if you need a simple repair, Friendly Tire will do it. You can also get brand new tires out the door and on the road, brand new tires out the door and on the road for as low as $75 a tire. Remember, Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire, mount the tire, or dispose of your old tire. And he has thousands of good used tires in stock for as low as $35 a tire. That's the out the door and on the road price too. Give Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire a call right now. He'll give you a quote over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. We'll be right back. All right, guys, hang in there. I'll be right back.
Some of life's most meaningful memories can come from something as simple as a familiar scent. And that's the inspiration behind Heavenly Scents, a handcrafted Etsy shop created from love, healing, and the memory of a cherished mother whose warmth and kindness continue to inspire every product. After struggling for years with sensitive skin, eczema, and unexplained hives, the creator of Heavenly Scents began making gentle goat milk body products using simple ingredients she could trust. What started as a personal journey soon became a passion for creating products that are as soothing to the skin as they are comforting to the soul. From rich, moisturizing goat milk soaps to beautifully scented body products, every item is handcrafted with care to help you relax, refresh, and enjoy a little everyday luxury. Whether you're searching for a thoughtful gift or treating yourself to something special, discover the handmade difference at Heavenly Scents online at heavenlyscents3.etsy.com. That's the number 3. heavenlyscents3.etsy.com. Visit the shop right now, view the inventory, and find the scent that feels like home. heavenlyscents3.etsy.com. Our world is filled with confusion, deception, and uncertainty. Where can you turn for the truth? Bible Prophecy and Truth is a Christ-centered ministry dedicated to proclaiming the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ and shining the light of God's Word into a world darkened by deception. Discover powerful videos that explain what the Bible says about salvation and what you must do to be saved. Explore fascinating teachings on Bible prophecy, the rapture. There's also an in-depth creation versus evolution study that will strengthen your faith and deepen your understanding of Scripture. And that's just the beginning. Whether you're a lifelong believer, a new Christian, or simply searching for answers, Bible Prophecy and Truth offers biblical teaching rooted in God's truth. Visit videos.prophecyandtruth.com. That's videos.prophecyandtruth.com and discover the truth, strengthen your faith, and grow closer to Jesus Christ. Videos.prophecyandtruth.com.
What do you want?
Are you looking for a smarter way to care for your skin and your hair? You can do just that with Valaya AI. Valaya AI is your personal AI wellness coach. With just a quick scan from your phone, Valaya AI analyzes your skin and hair in seconds, providing personalized recommendations for acne, hydration, wrinkles, pigmentation, dryness, hair health, and that's just the beginning. Using advanced artificial intelligence, Valaya AI creates customized morning and evening routines, recommends products tailored to your needs, and even adjusts your care based on the weather, UV index, and seasonal conditions. What are you waiting for? Download Valaya AI right now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store and discover a smarter, more personalized approach to skin and hair care. Learn more and see how Valaya works online at mindhatch.ca. That's mindhatch.ca. Valaya AI, healthy skin and hair powered by artificial intelligence.
Okay, we're still in radio break for a little less than a minute. So if you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to get back to the president when we get back. All right. Less than a minute, we'll be back. Hang in there. 15 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. Call us on hold. Hang in there. Our number toll-free, 888-465-2631. I want to go back to the president had his press conference on Air Force One.
The anti-weaponization fund is back on the table. What are your plans?
No, if they don't improve. Look, we have a man named Todd Blanche. He's outstanding in every way. Most of you know who he is. You're not going to find a better person. And everybody agrees. And it's because I backed Cornyn's opponent, and his opponent won in a landslide. That's the only reason it's happening. But I will say there are a lot of people that like. People were hurt so badly. 22 suicides, and they were destroyed. Their families were destroyed. There's never been an attack on any group of people in this country, in my opinion. Maybe one. There's one group that was attacked violently and viciously, like these people were attacked. And this would be a reimbursement for the pain that they suffered. A lot of people like it. If they don't approve Todd, I put it back on the table. A lot of people like it.
Yeah, you know, Todd Blanche. See, they all of a sudden they made a villain out of Todd Blanche. You know, and one thing they're forgetting is they've already approved him in the Senate. He went through a confirmation as the Deputy Attorney General. So now all of a sudden he's a bad man. They just approved him. So what happened? Last year, right? It went through the whole process. The thing is, Trump is right, okay? A couple of these senators that are rhinos that got primaried out or acting out with their little bit of power they have left, and that's certainly a big part of what's going on here. But Todd Blanche is doing what Pam Bondi was not doing, and that's his job as Attorney General. You know, Pam Bondi was running out the clock as long as she possibly could without any action. Yeah, they were doing regular crimes, but not going after these conspirators like J. Edgar Comey and such. And Todd Blanche has been doing that. So you compound that we have a couple of senators that President Trump primaried out on top of that fact that Todd Blanche has been going after not just people like Comey, right, but some of these left-wing organizations. He's like the Southern Poverty Law Center, that was the liberal organization paying all the Klansmen and white supremacist organizations and everything to keep them active. He's going after the heart of the Democrat machine, and they're freaking out over it. That's why they're opposing him. Everybody knows this. He's probably the greatest attorney general we've ever had. But the White House released a statement that President Trump can keep him as the acting AG for the rest of this term. Yeah, so there's just a couple of goals here. You know, open up the Strait of Hormuz and stop the harassment there, and blow up whatever else they have left so far as nuclear. All these clips of the president on Air Force One yesterday, talking about all the day's events in Iran.
What happens now?
Well, now what we're doing is we're talking to them in the form of a negotiation. It begins tomorrow afternoon, and we'll see if it's true. I'd love to do that, save a lot of lives. Save a lot of unnecessary power, to be honest with you. It would take many, many years to ever build it back. If it could, I don't think it would be even buildable back. So we had an attack that would be the biggest attack since World War II, and it would have been disastrous for them. And they didn't want us to do it. And frankly, Saudi Arabia didn't want it either. They thought that a deal is imminent.
Is there a deadline, sir?
And the deal is imminent, having to do with the Hormuz Strait and also ultimately the denuclearization of Iran. So when I hear that, I say, well, do we want to go and be this severe? Now, there's a group of people that would like me to just do it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and the ones that wanted to just do it, which is wipe out everything in Iran, are the same ones that are saying we shouldn't even be involved there. So which is it? Right? Okay, back to it. The president on Air Force One.
Disaster by Saudi Arabia, by UAE, by Qatar, and by Iran.
Okay, hold on. There's one clip I'm looking for here. I thought I had the right one queued up. Let me find it real quick. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Here's the one I was looking for. Okay, and this is a statement that everyone in the United States should agree with. Here's the president again.
Would I rather make a deal? I'm not looking to kill people.
I'm not looking to kill people. That's right. Isn't that a good thing? Now all of a sudden the Democrats wanting to kill more people?
Would I rather make a deal? I'm not looking to kill people. Because people die, a lot of people die, and we don't want that. So they asked us, Iran specifically, but the other three said I asked Saudi Arabia, the king, I said, the crown prince, I said, what would you rather do? Would you rather have us do this or not? And they said, we would much prefer a deal as opposed to an attack, because you don't know where these attacks lead. I mean, will they be flooded with people pouring into their country and disaster? A lot of bad things can happen.
Yeah, you see what he said? First off, he said, I don't want to kill people, unless he has to, which is a good thing. We don't want that. And then he's talking about right there that an attack at that level would create a humanitarian crisis, and then what happens? And what happens is you have Iranians flooding across the border to God knows where, causing more problems. And, you know, when you look at all the military conflicts we have been in over the years, have you ever seen a conflict with a major nation, which in Iran at the beginning of this was a major nation in the region, and next to the United States, probably the number after the United States, they were the top military power in the region after us. They've been decimated. They can't even fight back against us, and we've had this minimal loss of life. Have you ever seen any conflict that we've been in with such little destruction? Now, they've tried, right? But like this attack on Jordan last week, on the base in Jordan, we shot down everything. They fired hundreds of rockets at one of our aircraft carriers. We shot them all down. So we have stopped them at every turn. And that's one of the things that has the never-Trumpers, the rhinos, and the Democrats more upset than anything, is that the American loss of life has been so low. The amount of the Iranians have lost the ability to fight back against us, okay? And this is what's upsetting them. And what's upsetting them the most, the never-Trumpers, the rhinos, and the Democrats, is that the American casualties have been so low. That's what burns them up more than anything. And they thought by now, because they had believed their own hype, that the Iranians were a strong military force. They've only been a strong military force because no one stood up to them. Like most bullies, when you stand up to a bully, they don't really know how to fight too well, do they? All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Am I on the air here?
Yes. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Joey. Just got out of prison. 15 years in prison there.
For what? What'd you do?
I don't like to talk about it, but God bless America.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh my goodness. Another cosplay caller. You know, I hear a lot of these cosplay callers with these fake backgrounds. I don't, and you know where that guy's going. He's in, he's done time in prison, but now he's MAGA. So he wants to, if MAGA were all of these things that you want to think that we are, you wouldn't have to call in and pretend to be that. It would just be how we all were. Now, man, oh man, did we get some rains over the weekend? It was pouring at my house, and looks like we got some rains coming in. If you've got a wet spot on your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof, you want to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. This is a very important thing about Tom Laporta. Very important thing. He's not just a roofer. He's a contractor. And under Florida law, That allows Tom Laporta to deal directly with your insurance company, whether it's residential or commercial. It allows Tom Laporta to deal directly with your insurance company on the cost of the repair or the replacement of your roof. That speeds things up a lot. A lot of times people hire public adjusters because their insurance company won't work with them. Sometimes people even hire attorneys. Since Tom Laporta can deal directly with your insurance company, you may be able to avoid all that, and that saves you boatloads of money. Tom Laporta covers both the east and west coast of Florida, from the Atlantic coast to the Gulf of America and everywhere in between. This number rings directly to his cell phone. Give him a call, 954-604-4602. Remember, Laporta Roofing, Tom Laporta will never sell you a roof you do not need. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. We'll take our break for the top of the hour, come back with more right after our top of the hour break. Stay tuned. All right, guys, hang in there. We'll take a quick break here, and I'll be right back with you, all right? Don't go anywhere.
What if the greatest power in New York was hidden in 3 teenage girls? Step into 1996 Bronx, where friendship, family, first love, and ancient magic collide. In Bronx Witches, The Awakening, available on Amazon. 3 best friends discover powers that will change their lives and the fate of the world. If you love urban fantasy, magic, supernatural adventures, and unforgettable characters, Bronx Witches is the book you've been waiting for. Bronx Witches, The Awakening, from author Carrie Abron, is available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and free with Kindle Unlimited. Your destiny is waiting. Order your copy right now. Our world is filled with confusion, deception, and uncertainty. Where can you turn for the truth? Bible Prophecy and Truth is a Christ-centered ministry dedicated to proclaiming the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ and shining the light of God's Word into a world darkened by deception. Discover powerful videos that explain what the Bible says about salvation and what you must do to be saved. Explore fascinating teachings on Bible prophecy, the rapture. There's also an in-depth creation versus evolution study that will strengthen your faith and deepen your understanding of Scripture. And that's just the beginning. Whether you're a lifelong believer, a new Christian, or simply searching for answers, Bible Prophecy and Truth offers biblical teaching rooted in God's truth. Visit videos.prophecyandtruth.com. That's videos.prophecyandtruth.com and discover the truth, strengthen your faith, and grow closer to Jesus Christ. Videos.prophecyandtruth.com. Are you looking for a simple way to bring more wellness into your everyday life? You can do just that with Veda Life, your trusted source for premium wellness products inspired by natural living and timeless traditions. From beautifully crafted copper water bottles, copper mugs, to eco-friendly cork yoga mats and wellness accessories, every product is thoughtfully selected to support a healthier lifestyle. Complete your self-care routine with Veda Life's Elegance Bronze Tools, designed to help you relax, refresh, and rejuvenate. Whether you're building a wellness routine or searching for the perfect gift, Veda Life offers quality products you'll enjoy for years to come. They ship worldwide too, making it easy to experience premium wellness wherever you are. Follow Veda Life on Facebook and Instagram at Veda Life CA. That's VEDA. And visit them online at VedaLife.ca to explore the complete collection. That's VedaLife.ca, where wellness meets quality. VedaLife.ca.
Okay, we'll be back in just over a minute, guys. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free and pinned in the live chat. It's 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're located. 888-465-2631. Hold on, guys. Got just over a minute. 40 seconds and we'll be back. A little more than 30 seconds, guys. All right, welcome back. The 7 o'clock hour has begun. If you're on hold, stand by. If you would like to call in about anything I brought up already, you're welcome to. But there are a lot of other topics I want to get into on the program starting now. And I'll go back to what's going on with Iran. But there's a lot of other stories in the news, including this off-duty cop and a civilian who was armed with his own weapon at this in-and-out shootout that saved God knows how many lives. And this really is amazing. This is in the New York Post. A heroic Good Samaritan and an off-duty state trooper opened fire on a gun-toting maniac who killed 2 people and wounded 7 Saturday at an In-N-Out in Idaho. And there's no doubt they saved more lives. I mean, you've seen some of the footage. It's really just hard to watch. The footage shows the Good Samaritan drawing on 24-year-old killer Chad Williams, who had an AR-15 style rifle outside the Twin Falls Burger joint around 2 p.m. local time. Police said an off-duty trooper also drew his weapon and fired at the murderous nut. I'm reading from the New York Post. The gunman is believed to have then killed himself. We believe their actions helped drive the suspect away from the scene, preventing further casualties, said the police chief to the Associated Press. We want to take a moment and commend the actions of the off-duty officer and the citizen in their heroic action to stop this incident. The mass shooting rattled the quiet community. It goes on about that. The killer, seen on surveillance video, is clutching his assault rifle. He opened fire at the In-N-Out. The violence spilled out into the parking lot. Witnesses said the shooter dashed out of the drive-thru and at one point aimed his weapon at the driver's side window of a blue Tesla, firing off 2 rounds. Can you imagine? This is just horrific. That's when he was spotted by the armed resident who opened fire, exchanging fire in what cops called a very chaotic scene. The quick-thinking action of the heroes are believed to have saved other lives, distracting the gunman to allow diners and workers at the crowded eatery to escape with their lives. A witness said he was at a stoplight near the In-N-Out when he saw someone with an AR-style rifle come out of the drive-thru before a second man started firing at him with a pistol. He then saw a woman in an In-N-Out uniform bleeding from the chest being dragged across the parking lot by another person in an In-N-Out uniform. She was pretty bad off, they told the local news. He remained at the scene and along with the Good Samaritan and an employee stayed with the wounded worker until paramedics arrived. At least 2 of those wounded were listed in critical condition. And it goes on to a little bit. You know, a good guy with a gun, and 2 of them in this instance stopped a bad guy with a gun. And, you know, these god-awful mass shooting events, for the most part, they target places where no one can shoot back. Or they assume no one can shoot back. They're cowards, is what they are. And, you know, one thing in Florida, I often tell people that are new to Florida, do not get involved in any arguments with people out in public, because in Florida, just assume everyone's armed, right? Just assume that and I think most people in Florida, don't you assume here in Florida that everyone is armed? You got to, because so many people have guns. I have multiple guns. Most of you that are in Florida probably do as well. We finally got our constitutional carry, although we have had open carry in Florida since January. I have yet to see a single civilian openly carry anywhere. And I'm surprised because I thought when that went into effect that everyone was going to be open carrying, and they're not. But you also don't need a concealed weapons permit any longer to conceal your weapon. So just because they're not open carrying doesn't mean that they're not, more people aren't concealing. I don't know. I haven't open carried because I haven't seen anybody else doing it, and I don't want to be the test case at all the local places I go to. But, I do carry my weapon when I go on, when I'm on a long drive. If I'm going, if I'm on a long drive somewhere, oftentimes I'll carry the weapon and, with me just in case, I break down or something happens. You never know. Or you get into a car accident. I remember years ago when I was in high school, my mother got into a car accident in Pompano, on Sample Road in Pompano. 2 guys hit her. They crashed into her car on Sample Road, just east of I-95, like the first light or two east of I-95 on Sample Road. This was when I was in high school. They crashed into her car while she was at a light, and she got out of the car because that's what you do when you get into an accident. They came up and they mugged her, stole my mom's purse. Can you believe it? So, a lot of times you get into a car accident, you got to be careful. You really do have to be careful. But, a story like this where a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun. This is a story, while it's in the New York Post and on some conservative media outlet, it's not going to be in the mainstream media too long because it doesn't fit the liberal narrative. They don't like people being allowed to own weapons. And there was a book years ago, More Guns, Less Crime. Let me tell you, these psycho sickos out there with their mass shooting, they see this In-N-Out story, this In-N-Out burger story needs to go nationwide hardcore because it sends a strong message to other lunatics. Don't assume that there are not people there with a gun. In fact, assume just the opposite, that there's somebody there that can shoot back. And the civilian who shot back, he's wearing jean shorts, and he's just this, and he had a big gun too. I didn't catch what type of weapon he had, but it was a big one, and that takes a lot of guts. It's one thing when you personally are being threatened or your family's being threatened, and you use your personal carry weapon to defend yourself or your family. This civilian put his own life in danger to save the lives of strangers. And like that lifeguard that's going to the White House, maybe he should be invited to the White House and be given a medal from the president, because that's a pretty heroic thing to do. And the situation about guns, there are not anywhere near as many gun deaths as the left will want you to think. And if you've noticed in this midterm election cycle, even with all this democratic socialism, do you notice they're not talking about gun control? Because gun control is not popular. And even the Democratic Socialists realize that. Now, if you got together with the Democratic Socialists, they'd probably tell you they support the abolition of the Second Amendment. But they're not running on it because it's so unpopular to oppose gun ownership in this country because people need it. Especially, here in Florida, I was just looking outside and it looks like, I was talking about Tom Laporta right before the top of the hour break. It looks like it's going to rain today. The main reason that I have guns at home is mainly after hurricane. I remember years ago when we didn't have electricity for a couple weeks, after a hurricane, it gets you start to see some sketchy people after a few days coming through the neighborhood. There's no lights or anything, and you see cars you don't recognize driving at night slow through the neighborhood. You want to be able to protect your family, and that's mainly why I have guns at home. Plus, I like them. I like the guns that I have too. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll take our first break of the second hour. But before we do, I want to talk about Friendly Tire in Margate. I was mentioning in the first hour, I ran into one of our listeners at Friendly Tire the other day who was in there for a tire repair. He just needed a tire repaired, that's all. And he got it done. And not only does Friendly Tire do tire repairs, which other places don't, he does them quick, they're very good, and he charges very little for them as well. And I've had many tire repairs over there. If I went anywhere else, they would force you to buy new tires. They tell, oh no, we don't do repairs, and then they'll give you all kinds of excuses as to why they don't do repairs. When I took my Kia over there for a repair. I mean, I didn't need new tires. I just ran over a screw again. I don't know. I run over things sometimes, and my tire was running out of air every couple of days. Yeah, Friendly Tire does tire repairs. You can get new tires out the door and on the road for as low as $75 a tire. Remember, Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire, mount the tire, or dispose of your old tires. And he has thousands of good used tires in stock out the door and on the road for as low as $35 a tire. Give Friendly Mike a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. We'll be right back. All right, guys, hang in there. I'll be right back.
Have you ever caught yourself wondering, is this really what life is supposed to be? Work is important. Building a career, providing for your family, and achieving success all matter. But somewhere along the way, many of us become so focused on work that we forget to enjoy the life we're working so hard to build. In the book, I Don't Want to Die Behind My Desk, Stepping Off the Pillar Before You Forget How to Live, available on Amazon, author and knowledge warrior Samuel Colin shares the lessons he's learned from nearly 40 years in emergency services, executive leadership, industrial operations, and his own battle with cancer. This must-read and life-changing book isn't about quitting your job or giving up on success. It's about finding balance again, making time for your family, your faith, your health, and the people and moments that matter most. Whether you're a business owner, executive, first responder, manager, or anyone who's feeling buried under meetings, deadlines, and responsibilities, this book is a reminder that your career should support your life, not become your life. I Don't Want to Die Behind My Desk from author Samuel Colin is available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and free with Kindle Unlimited. Before another year slips by, take a minute and look up I Don't Want to Die Behind My Desk by Samuel Colin on Amazon. Order your copy right now. Are you looking for a smarter way to care for your skin and your hair? You can do just that with Valaya AI. Valaya AI is your personal AI wellness coach. With just a quick scan from your phone, Valaya AI analyzes your skin and hair in seconds, providing personalized recommendations for acne, hydration, wrinkles, pigmentation, dryness, hair health, and that's just the beginning. Using advanced artificial intelligence, Valaya AI creates customized morning and evening routines, recommends products tailored to your needs, and even adjusts your care based on the weather, UV index, and seasonal conditions. What are you waiting for? Download Valaya AI right now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store and discover a smarter, more personalized approach to skin and hair care. Learn more and see how Valaya works online at mindhatch.ca. That's mindhatch.ca. Valaya AI, healthy skin and hair powered by artificial intelligence.
All right, we'll be back in about 30 seconds, guys. Hold on. All right, we're back. If you're on hold, hang in there. The number is toll-free 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning,
hey,
Brian.
Richie.
This is Richie.
What's up?
Earlier you talked about Jennifer Griffith of Fox News, and when I researched it after because I remembered an incident.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a biased reporter. June 25th, 2025, at a news conference, Pete Hegseth said she was the worst foreign correspondent reporter in the media. And she said, why? He says, because you report everything that President Trump says, you report it completely opposite. And so you trying to undermine the whole administration.
That's right.
She had mud on her face. She was so embarrassed. And she's had a vendetta against this administration since then.
Oh, yeah.
That's number one. Number two, you brought up this shooter, that the guy with the gun. Folks, Personally, I don't own a gun. I am 100% for gun owners. As a matter of fact, I wish everybody could have like automatic weapons in their house, because what I saw happen over there in Spain, 80,000 residents unarmed by the Spanish government, they took their weapons away, and 60,000 Muslim invaders breaking into their homes, assaulting, murdering people.
Yeah.
And they can't defend.
And there's nothing you can do. You can't defend yourself. And if you did, they would probably arrest you.
You know, it's a funny thing with the left, Brian. The left will say, we're against guns, gun violence, but you don't hear nothing.
Yep.
Nothing.
That's
when
absolutely.
Morocco,
no,
what's
you're right.
going on?
You're right. But this thing, but this thing, by the way, I appreciate the call, Richie. You know, Jennifer Griffin hates Pete Hegseth, and that she's just, sometimes, people get, like we were talking about the Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett. She testified to Congress that she's terrified of the left. And then on this big ruling on birthright citizenship, she gives an opinion with the Democrats. That's because she's afraid of the left, right? She can no longer be a fair jurist on the Supreme Court. Jennifer Griffin, she's so angry at Pete Hegseth, she can't be a fair and balanced reporter. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Oh, hey, Doug.
You know, the first thing I'd like to say is, these rumors that you hear that, we're running low. Typically the government, if they need 500 or something, they'll order 5,000. And then if they use the 500, they'll order another 5,000. And the manufacturer of the weapons, they're not letting grass grow under their feet. As soon as there's a need for something, if it's ordered, they get it right out to us. I'm sure everything we have has been stockpiled. We have a ton of stuff to
This
use.
is what we know, okay? This is what we know, because it's talked about all the time for years, especially the Democrats. The corruption between the Pentagon and the military-industrial complex. So the Patriot, they keep reporting that we're running out of Patriot missiles. The Patriot missile has been in operation for over 40 years. I promise you, the government has more Patriot missiles than we could fire off in 50 years. That the government has overbought so many. And I had a caller earlier in the show, and he says, yeah, but they only have a certain shelf life. See how they just make crap up? And I told him, I said, well, a Patriot missile is not a loaf of bread. Okay, now they're trying to tell us, I promise you, we have more of these things than we could ever dream of using.
And if we did run a little low, it's not something that they have to invent. They got the patent. They know how to do it. They'll manufacture it right away and give it to us.
We have them. We have them at storehouses all over the world, at military bases, and they would when you're fighting a war, you have to rearm. So we might have to fly or ship more ammunition to the Navy in and around the Persian Gulf. But no, I don't believe that story that we're running out. First of all, that would be the number, the amount of ammunition and missiles we have is got to be some of the most classified top secret information there is. But, so the Trump administration go after leakers with a vengeance. And they're not going at this story with Jennifer Griffin was 2 days ago. I haven't heard anything about them going after leakers. Another thing is, if you remember when they're so corrupt, remember when Obama was president, you couldn't even buy ammunition at your local gun stores because the government was buying up so much of it. The federal government do nothing but buy weapons and ammunition nonstop and just store it in where I remember when Bill Clinton first got elected, Al Gore in the beginning was trying to look like he was like kind of like a little Doge thing going. He was looking for government waste. And I remember in particular, Al Gore found a warehouse that was filled with nothing. This was like 93, right? 1990, he found a warehouse that was filled with nothing but Korean War era Winter Army uniforms 40 years after the war was over. So the idea that we're running low on ammunition or Patriot missiles is absurd.
I I went to the warehouse for the government in New Jersey. That if you see this thing, it was like in a movie. It was like 3 football fields long, packed right to the ceiling. Unbelievable. So the government stores stuff,
exactly,
just regular stuff as well. So
remember a couple years ago there was a baby formula shortage. I did a video on the baby formula shortage, and the Biden regime that was buying up baby formula for the illegals, for their babies at the border places. The government does nothing but buy and buy and buy, and the military-industrial complex has been selling Patriot missiles to the United States military for 40 years. And so the idea that we're almost out of them doesn't even make sense.
And I tell you, even if that was a true story, which we know is not, to report something like that is really unacceptable. How could they want to report something that's make us look bad?
Well, it's not just making us look bad. We're involved in a hot fighting war, and Jennifer Griffin is reporting what I would consider to be something that gives aid and comfort to the enemy. And I would say that it's treason.
Yeah. The last thing I want to say quickly is President Trump, I understand he doesn't want to kill anybody. I don't blame him, man. I would be the same way. But with these Iranians, I'm hoping there was a time frame he put on it, because there was that story how they trying to smuggle in weapons into Iran. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure give them a little time, they'll be smuggling as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that he told them that, hey, you know the terms. Sign a damn deal. You have X amount of time. Otherwise, it's over.
Okay.
I'm sure he's.
That would be nice. All right. All right. Appreciate the call, Doug. Yeah. I played this in the first. I'll play it. This was Jennifer Griffin on Saturday, reporting this story about the Patriot missiles, and asked her, is this treason what she's doing here? I say it is. I'm not kidding.
Well, the Pentagon is confronting a growing reality after months of fighting in Iran. America's stockpile of missile defense interceptors is shrinking so much that military planners are weighing whether they can continue the current cycle of limited retaliatory strikes. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, using open source budget numbers, estimates U.S. Patriot interceptor inventories have fallen from roughly 2,300 pre-war to fewer than 827, while THAAD interceptors have dropped from 452 to fewer than 278. CSIS warns rebuilding those stockpiles could take 3 years or more.
Any of you believe that? No, of course not. If you're on hold, hang in there. Our number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. I want to talk about Joe Thomas and annuities. Joe was in studio with me on Friday. And, I was talking to Joe the other day on the air about, when people plan their retirement, and this is, when one of you pass, right, husband and wife, they have their whole retirement plan. Part of the retirement planning is their Social Security. When one of you pass, you lose a Social Security check. That's right. I mean, and that's a big blow. And what I've come to realize is so many people don't factor that into their retirement planning. They really don't. But with an annuity, you can replace that lost Social Security check income from your spouse that has passed away. One of the annuities, it's a fixed indexed annuity, comes with a 15% bonus. So whatever you invest in the annuity on day one, instantly, you make 15% on your money. Isn't that amazing? It is absolutely amazing. And of course, as always, no market risk. That monthly check that you get every month for the rest of your life comes on the same date every month. Joe Thomas calls it mailbox money, and that's exactly right. Just like your Social Security check, the same day every month, that annuity check is directly deposited into your bank account for the rest of your life. Call Joe Thomas and schedule your no-charge consultation right now. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. And you can also find his number on his website, JupiterJoe.com. That's JupiterJoe.com. We'll be right back.
Some towns never forget, and some ghosts never leave. From author Alex Giles comes your next must-read book, The Ghost of Port St. Joe, a ghost story of the Florida coast. Along Florida's forgotten coast lies Port St. Joe. It's a town where a tragic past refuses to stay buried. When Alex discovers a mysterious gold locket, he awakens spirits trapped for nearly 2 centuries and uncovers a love story that death could never end. If you love Southern Gothic suspense, haunted history, unforgettable characters, and chilling mysteries, The Ghost of Port St. Joe will keep you turning pages late into the night. Order your copy right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover edition, as well as Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, Smashwords, Kobo, and learn more on the author's website, alex-giles.com. The Ghost of Port St. Joe from author Alex Giles. Order your copy today, because sometimes the dead are only waiting to be remembered. Life can leave us with a lot of questions. Why did this happen to me? Why do I keep repeating the same patterns? And where is God in all of it? If you've ever asked those questions, you need to tune into the Healing Philosophers podcast with The Healing Philosopher on Spotify. Through honest conversations and real-life experiences, each episode explores topics like healing from past hurts, generational karma, letting go of what's holding you back, understanding narcissism, and discovering how God can use even life's hardest moments for a greater purpose. The Healing Philosophers podcast is about finding hope, growing in your faith, and realizing that your story in every season of your life has meaning. Add the Healing Philosophers podcast to your Spotify playlist, and make sure to share the podcast on all your social media and invite your friends and family to listen in too. Your share could be exactly what someone else needs right now. The Healing Philosophers podcast with the Healing Philosopher on Spotify. Healing starts with one conversation. Listen now on Spotify. Are you looking for a simple way to bring more wellness into your everyday life? You can do just that with Veda Life, your trusted source for premium wellness products inspired by natural living and timeless traditions. From beautifully crafted copper water bottles, copper mugs, to eco-friendly cork yoga mats and wellness accessories, every product is thoughtfully selected to support a healthier lifestyle. Complete your self-care routine with Veda Life's Elegance Bronze Tools, designed to help you relax, refresh, and rejuvenate. Whether you're building a wellness routine or searching for that perfect gift, Veda Life offers quality products you'll enjoy for years to come. They ship worldwide too, making it easy to experience premium wellness wherever you are. Follow Veda Life on Facebook and Instagram at Veda Life CA. That's VEDA. And visit them online at vedalife.ca to explore the complete collection. That's vedalife.ca, where wellness meets quality. vedalife.ca.
All right, guys. And if you'd like to call in, less than 30 seconds till we're back. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free and pinned in the live chat, all right? 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. All right? It's a toll-free call no matter where you are located. All right, stand by. All right, we're back. You know, just to give you a heads up on what the fake news media are about to do, tomorrow we're having this primary. There's a lot of primaries, right? But there's this primary in Michigan with Abdul, the Democratic Socialist Muslim, and he's going to win the primary, okay? Now, I want to tell you, there's some new polls out between him and Mike Rogers, who's the Republican for the general election. And Mike Rogers is in the lead. And when it's down to Mike Rogers and Abdul El Sayed, Mike Rogers, his lead's going to even grow higher than that, right? But tomorrow, when Abdul wins the primary, the mainstream media are going to behave like this is the greatest victory ever. It's a Democrat winning a Democrat primary, okay? And they're going to present it as if he won the general election because they want to take possession of the victory, right? And they want to convince people that this Democrat socialism is the future. And not only is it not, and for people that wonder whether or not we're going to win this, I mean, you even have James Carville, who's talking about not voting Democrat. This is James Carville over the weekend on Fox.
I think that a majority, overwhelming majority of Democrats agree with me. But this idea that we're going to seize the means of production and just go look at the DSA platform. You don't have to look any further than that. And, Jackie, it may be that the two-party system is just going to be under tremendous stress here in the coming months. I mean, you see it in with Tucker and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and on the Republican side, you see it going on right now. And I can't sit here and tell you for certain how this is going to turn out. But the one thing I can tell you for certain, Hassan Piker and James Carville are not going to be in the same political party. One of us is going to lead. It might even be me.
Wow. So this is amazing. So James Carville is actually talking about leaving the Democrat Party over this. So whether or not he does, whatever, but he's not alone. But you guys got to understand who James Carville is, right? He's one of the, he's a big Democrat establishment guy, and there's a lot of top Democrats who agree with him. And when they have someone like James Carville talking about not voting Democrat and leaving the Democrat Party, how does that look for the midterm elections? Well, it looks like we're going to win, is what it looks like, easily, if we have a big turnout. We got to swamp them at the polls. Listen to this. This is a lifelong Democrat called C-SPAN over the weekend.
I'm going to be voting for Houston. I've been a lifelong Democrat, and I'm 72 years old, 72-year-old white male. And I've been a Democrat my whole life. This past primary in Ohio, I went and asked for the Republican ballot, which makes me a Republican now.
Wow. 70, and think about that. A 72-year-old man, he's a Democrat his entire life, and for the first time he's voting Republican. That's I'll play the rest of it, but that's an amazing statement, because that means that he is rejecting everything he stood for his entire life.
I'm going to be voting for Houston. I've been a lifelong Democrat, and I'm 72 years old, 72-year-old white male. And I've been a Democrat my whole life. This past primary in Ohio, I went and asked for the Republican ballot, which makes me a Republican now.
Wow.
There's many reasons for that. But if I could just be philosophical for just a minute, and thank you again for taking my call. This chicken, this Democratic Socialist movement, this chicken has been coming home to roost for a long, long time. And you have to go back to the source of what's going on. 35 or 40 years ago, the Democrats and Republicans together decided that they were going to shovel every job that they could shovel offshore that they did. And the ones that weren't bolted down, they shipped first, and then they've unbolted the rest of them and shipped the rest of them. So if you're a young person in this country, we don't make any textiles. We don't make any electronics.
That's right.
We don't make hardly any cars. We don't make hardly any pharmaceuticals. And so you've got a lot of young people who are seeing this wage gap. And by the way, I'm a Republican, and you're seeing this income gap. And so essentially they're fair game for this movement. They see this movement as an opportunity, if not to gain back some credibility or some life, a better life. They look at it as a way to burn the system down.
Okay. Yeah, wow. So, C-SPAN's in a panic. That's not the kind of call that they want. But a lifelong Democrat at the age of 72, and he's an Ohio lifelong Democrat. And CNN, they were C-SPAN, they weren't interested in getting to too much of what he had to say, because they have an agenda, right? This guy's probably a retired union worker, would be my guess, in Ohio, right? And better late than never, but it takes a lot for someone in their 70s to wake up and say, this Democrat Party's gone. And if it's happening with a regular guy like that, think about how many others it's happening with around the country. They're in big trouble. And, the Democrat socialist, they're getting completely rejected everywhere. So while they're going to take Abdul's primary victory tomorrow and act like he's the next coming of Obama and that he won the general election, nothing could be further from the truth. And all this has happened for a number of reasons, mainly because of Trump. Trump has just defanged the mainstream media and everything else. And I wanted to play, if you're on hold, hang on, I got a couple of clips I want to play to make sure I get them on the air. Victor Davis Hanson, because we're talking about Jennifer Griffin and the media, and there were some interesting exchanges on the Sunday morning shows with these hack fake news journalists. Margaret Brennan on the CBS show on Sunday was promoting democratic socialism, and Dana Bash was made a fool of by RFK Jr. And, was talking about Jennifer Griffin committing treason with this story on our stockpile of rockets being at these low numbers. And Victor Davis Hanson, who's probably one of the most brilliant conservatives alive today, he was talking about the media. And listen, this is Victor Davis Hanson talking about the media.
We don't have a watchdog media. It disappeared. We have NBC, ABC, CBS, New York Times, Chicago Tribune, LA Times, Boston Globe, NPR, PBS, ABC, CBS, NBC, Columbia School of Journalism, that whole conglomerate. They're there as adjuncts to the Democratic left-wing project. And so think about it. What did they give us? They gave us the Steele dossier as authentic. Donald Trump is a Russian spy. No. You lied and tried to fix an election through that lie. They gave us Hunter Back laptop. I know it looks incriminating, but it was cooked up in Moscow. It's a product of Russian information services. No, that was a lie. Jussie Smollett, that was a modern lynching. Can you believe that 2 white males went in with red MAGA caps and bleach and a rope at 2 a.m, defied the laws of chemistry, threw the bleach out, and it didn't freeze just because they were so evil? And then they attacked him, but Jussie, being a heroic fellow and diminutive, fought off 2 big, ugly, mean white guys while holding his sandwich and his cell phone and beat them up. But they did put a noose around his neck. And that's proof that it happened. Now, there's a little matter that he wrote checks to the black guys who wore whiteface, basically. But, just things happen. So and then the Wuhan lab, every big lie that hurt the country, they've been behind.
Yeah, that's right. Every lie that's hurt the country, since Trump came down the escalator, we can go back, but we're just talking about that period now. So for the last 10, 11 years, every big lie that's caused division in this country is a lie directly manufactured by the media. And this whole thing now that weapon stocks are low and we're low on missiles and all of this is just another lie like all those other ones that Victor Davis Hanson mentioned. And it's just like the lie Wednesday morning when Ahmed El Sayed wins this primary where the media are going to present it as if he won the general election because they want to promote him and the democratic socialism. And they view him as the next Mamdani. The media just no longer, not only can be trusted, no one trusts them anymore. I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And, this is really amazing because, when I lost all this weight and I've kept all of it off. And it feels great. It really does. And keeping the weight off has been effortless. I don't do any exercise. I don't even walk, all right? The only thing I run is my mouth when I'm on the air, okay? I don't do any exercises. I'm still eating foods I would normally eat, just like when I lost all the weight. And what's happened is, and I didn't realize what had happened, but what Dr. Zuckerman did, and you hear him talking about this a lot, he has reset my metabolism, right? And it's all natural. He naturally reset my metabolism. Coastal Weight Loss Secret is the home of the metabolic reset. But I didn't really, and I heard that when I first went over there, but I didn't think about it that much because I'm just thinking, okay, I'm going to lose the weight and this is what I'm going to do. And it was easy and I lost the weight and I've kept it all off. And, people are always asking me about, the Coastal Weight Loss Secret and how do I keep the weight off? And what I had been telling them is, I just have kept it off. I don't know why. I'm still eating foods I would normally eat. I'm still not exercising. And then Dr. Zuckerman said, well, no, we're the home of the metabolic reset. We have reset your metabolism. It's absolutely amazing. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. You can lose the weight. I know a lot of people have been on different diets throughout their life, and maybe you've yo-yoed or maybe you haven't had success. I've been on one diet plan, and that's Coastal Weight Loss Secret. I lost the weight and I kept it off, okay? And there's no prepackaged meals, no exercise program, nothing, no shots, no pills, no injections, and I feel great. And I weigh what I weighed when I was in my 20s. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. 561-359-3418. 561-359-3418. That's 561-359-3418 for Coastal Weight Loss Secret, home of the metabolic reset. We'll be right back. All right, guys, hang in there. We'll take a quick break.
If you're a business owner, founder, or marketer, you already know that great content matters. The problem is finding the time to write it or the budget to keep hiring writers. That's where maywrites.co comes in. Think of maywrites.co as your on-demand writing employee. Need blog posts? No problem. Newsletters? They do that too. LinkedIn content? No worries. Website copy? Even an ebook? Just send your request. There's no pre-word charges, no per-project invoices, and no surprise cost. With maywrites.co, you get unlimited writing requests for one simple monthly rate. It's like having a professional writer on your team. You'll get fast turnaround, consistent quality, and the freedom to stop worrying about who will write your next piece of content. Best of all, you can try it free for 7 days. If it's not the right fit, you can cancel anytime. Stop chasing writers, stop paying by the project, and start creating more content with less stress. Visit maywrites.co right now. That's maywrites, maywrites.co, your on-demand writing employee. Our world is filled with confusion, deception, and uncertainty. Where can you turn for the truth? Bible Prophecy and Truth is a Christ-centered ministry dedicated to proclaiming the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ and shining the light of God's Word into a world darkened by deception. Discover powerful videos that explain what the Bible says about salvation and what you must do to be saved. Explore fascinating teachings on Bible prophecy, the rapture. There's also an in-depth creation versus evolution study that will strengthen your faith and deepen your understanding of Scripture. And that's just the beginning. Whether you're a lifelong believer, a new Christian, or simply searching for answers, Bible Prophecy and Truth offers biblical teaching rooted in God's truth. Visit videos.prophecyandtruth.com. That's videos.prophecyandtruth.com and discover the truth, strengthen your faith, and grow closer to Jesus Christ. Videos.prophecyandtruth.com.
All right. We have about a minute left. We're still in radio break, so hang in there. And, we have a minute left. We'll be back in less than a minute. And if you'd like to call in, the number's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening, all right? Hang in there. Does it? Okay. Yes. I can't. Okay. Hold on. All right. 20 seconds, guys. 20 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Now, earlier when James Carville was talking about, well, we've got the Democrat socialist problem, dividing our party, and the Republicans have the same thing with Tucker and Marjorie Taylor Greene. No, we don't. Okay. But over the weekend, in fact, yesterday, a photograph dropped at Tucker Carlson's dinner table at his home, and Tucker Carlson had over to his house for dinner Marjorie Taylor Greene and her new husband Brian Glenn, Joe Kent, who was that guy that worked for Tulsi Gabbard that left the White House over the Iran war. Remember him? He was on all the interview shows for a couple days. And Massey were over at Tucker's house. And the reporting is they're starting a third party. Really? These guys are starting a third party? Wouldn't it be more accurate to say that they're starting a 12th or 18th party? There's lots of parties, right? You've got the Republican and the Dems, you've got the Libertarian Party, the Prohibition Party, the Green Party, the Communist Party. You got all these parties. So the Marjorie Taylor Greene Tucker Carlson Party, what party is that? What's its name? What candidates are they running? There's no party. And even if there is one, it's certainly not a third party. It's about a 20th party. There actually is a Prohibition Party still around. That's true. And there's all kinds. You'd be surprised how many different political parties and that are out there that you've never heard of. And what you have going on with Tucker and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massey, who's soon to be out of work, you have a group of people that have very expensive lifestyles that are looking to maintain it. Tucker Carlson, he was making $20 million a year at Fox News Channel, and he left that how many years ago? Years ago now. And one thing with people, and this is true, what really blows my mind is how true this is no matter what someone's income level is. People live at the level that their income provides, right? So Tucker Carlson's living in a $20 million salary year lifestyle, and he lost it. So he's got to maintain that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she made some millions while she was in there, but now she's out. And the gravy train and backroom deals and insider trading in Congress, those days are over. And Massey, well, like Jasmine Crockett, Massey, who's out, he's got the rest of his term, and then he's unemployed. He'll be out of Congress when the term at the end of the year. He's trying to set up his own employment after his congressional term is up. And obviously, Tucker Carlson here is the leader, I think what the new party is, the party of losers. And it blows my mind how out of touch with reality these people are. So they posed for this picture, and they posted it online so everyone would be talking about them, and certainly they would at Tucker Carlson's candlelight dinner table. But when my wife saw the picture, she says the Dinner with the Schmucks. Remember that movie? Dinner with the Schmucks? And that's exactly what they are, okay? A bunch of losers and schmucks that have no following, and no one is going to follow them. And that's just the way it is. And the only one there that I'm disappointed with, because Tucker was always anti-Trump, is Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then Brian Glenn, because I always liked Marjorie Taylor Greene, as most MAGA people did, and Brian Glenn. And I don't know what happened with her. If this is maybe, she was always this way, or if Trump didn't take her phone call on demand like she thought and she felt slighted, I don't know. But I know this, that Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, and Massey, they are not leading any political party that anyone is going to follow. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, it's Sean again from California.
Hey, Sean in California.
Hey, what's up, man? Anyway, I haven't heard you in a few days because I was busy at work.
Okay, well, you work. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, talking about these people, I think I'm old enough to see pattern recognition. And like, for example, like Tucker Carlson, I think he's just, hanging tooth and nail to try to stay relevant.
Yes.
And that's all there is to it,
Yeah.
because I don't think these people are, what you said earlier, they were they have no idea what they're doing. I think they know exactly what they're doing. But it's like a fight for survival,
It's like a what?
Either
a what? It's like a what?
It's a fight for survival.
A fight for survival. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think what you said was very true. Marjorie Trader Green and Tucker Carlson are trying to stay relevant. So what they're doing is these the dinner with schmucks photograph here. They take that picture, they post it on social media, and everyone's talking about them. They feel relevant because people are talking about them.
These people know good publicity or bad publicity. It's still publicity, and another way for you to stay relevant, especially when you're, dying down, is to swim against the current.
Yeah.
You just swim against the current and hope for people to notice you, and maybe you have people who are on the radical side of things who are gonna, start believing you or following you. So, it's just a way to stay relevant.
There is no one who is going to leave the MAGA movement to follow any of these schmucks at Tucker's dinner. It's just not going to happen. Now they may have some people in Qatar who don't understand the American, the pulse of the American people and are throwing money their way. I don't know, but whoever's paying them to do this is throwing their money away. Because the only reason people, it's like Candace Owens, people think that she's influencing. She's not influencing people. People tune into Candace Owens because she's nuts and it's a train wreck. That's all it is.
I used to like her.
Yeah,
that's the point.
All of us
I
did.
used to like her until she got fucking.
Okay, all right. First dump of the day, Mike. You see, you got to stay close. I am surprised. It is 4 minutes before 8, and that's the first dump of the day. Oh my goodness! If you're on hold, stand by. We have to wait until the delay re-engages before we take any more calls, and that's going to be after the top of the hour. But it happens. It happens. But what the caller said was right, that they're desperate for relevancy. And if you saw the wedding photographs of Marjorie Trader Green and Brian Glenn in Vegas the other day, they looked so forced, those photographs. They were so forceful. Look, we're happy. We're in love. Look at these pictures. And you could tell the opposite is true. Now, this dinner that Tucker has, I don't know if Tucker Carlson and Massey are that self-aware. But what Massey's going to learn, and maybe he already has because he's on his way out because he lost his primary. When you're a Republican or Democrat and you retire from Congress, that's one thing. When you lose your primary, you're out. It's a whole nother deal. You're rejected by your own party, right? So and Marjorie Taylor Greene was expected to lose re-election as well. So you have two people, especially Massey, who have been rejected by their own party. Massey actually went so far as to try to win it and lost the primary. When someone loses the general election, that's bad. But when they lose the primary, it is a humiliation, and everyone blocks your number and doesn't take your calls anymore because you've got no juice and you've got no influence. So you've got Massey, who has no influence. You've got Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has no influence. And Tucker Carlson, he doesn't have any influence either. And he's been a long time never Trumper. In fact, he's been an open never Trumper forever. Remember, he started at CNN, then he was at MSNBC, and then Fox. And the things he said about President Trump over the years, believe me, people have not forgotten. All right, now if you're on hold, stand by. We will go back to the phones after the top of the hour break, okay? And the delay will be re-engaged by then, and we'll take some more calls. So if you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I want to talk to those of you that have neuropathy or someone in your family have neuropathy. Call Lighthouse Medical Center. It's very common for spouses, kids, grandchildren to call Lighthouse Medical for their spouse, their parents, or their grandparents who are suffering from neuropathy, make the appointment for them and take them. You know, when people have neuropathy, sometimes they have it so bad they can't even call. They just can't. And you have to do it for, they certainly can't drive. And one thing about neuropathy is it only gets worse. So whatever stage of neuropathy you have, whether it's the early stages, you want to call Lighthouse Medical and get that treatment, and they'll rid you of your neuropathy before it gets worse. But if you have advanced neuropathy, they can help you too. The consultation is free if you mention you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. All right, we'll take our break for the top of the hour. Call us on hold. Don't go anywhere. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. I'm Brian Craig. We'll be back with your calls right after our top of the hour break. All right, guys, hang in there. We'll be right back.
Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions? You work hard, but feel stuck, exhausted, or disconnected from the life you truly want? It's time to stop surviving and start living. And you can do just that with the book from author Jane Morales Moras. Stop Dragging, Start Living, Reclaim Your Purpose and Power. Available on Amazon. This inspiring and practical guide will help you break free from self-doubt, rediscover your purpose, and build the confidence to create the life you've always dreamed of. With this must-read and life-changing book, you'll discover how to reconnect with your dreams, overcome negativity, build resilience, set healthy boundaries, and align your emotions with your goals so you can finally move forward with clarity and purpose. Whether you're a student, entrepreneur, professional, or simply someone ready for a fresh start, this empowering book provides real-world actionable strategies to help you stop living by other people's expectations and start becoming the person you're meant to be. Your purpose is waiting. Your best life is still ahead of you. Stop dragging. Start living. Reclaim your purpose and power. From author Jane Morales Moras is available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. Start your transformation right now and order your copy of Stop Dragging. Start Living. Reclaim your purpose and power on Amazon. Are you looking for a simple way to bring more wellness into your everyday life? You can do just that with Veda Life, your trusted source for premium wellness products inspired by natural living and timeless traditions. From beautifully crafted copper water bottles, copper mugs, to eco-friendly cork yoga mats and wellness accessories, every product is thoughtfully selected to support a healthier lifestyle. Complete your self-care routine with Veda Life's Elegance Bronze Tools, designed to help you relax, refresh, and rejuvenate. Whether you're building a wellness routine or searching for that perfect gift, Veda Life offers quality products you'll enjoy for years to come. They ship worldwide too, making it easy to experience premium wellness wherever you are. Follow Veda Life on Facebook and Instagram at Veda Life CA. That's VEDA. And visit them online at VedaLife.ca to explore the complete collection. That's VedaLife.ca, where wellness meets quality. VedaLife.ca.
All right, hang in there, guys. Hold on. We'll be back in 35 seconds. You're on hold, hang in there, and if you want to call in, the number's toll free. It's pinned in the live chat. All right, we'll be back in 15 seconds. All right, we're back. The 8 o'clock hour has begun. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. I got to tell you, there was a story over the weekend. It came out on Friday. One of the most shocking, sad, and also disappointing stories of late. And I'm talking about with Judge Jeanine. Did you guys see this? Judge Janine, she dropped charges against that Olympian on the vandalism of the reflecting pool. But she did something else when she did it in the statement. And, Judge Janine has historically been 100% MAGA. No question. You go back. I remember Judge Janine, she had a weekend show. I can't remember exactly what had happened, but she's so MAGA, they took away her weekend show, remember? And she always was a strong vocal supporter of President Trump. On the 5, after they took her show away and she was a regular there, she's done really good work in her job in the administration, cleaning up crime in D.C., and they've obviously gotten to her. Who the they is, I don't know. I know they got to Amy Coney Barrett. They threatened the Supreme Court justices, and she testified to Congress that she's afraid of the left. And, when you know someone's been compromised is when they start doing things that are so far outside their character. John Roberts with the Obamacare decision in 2010 is kind of like this textbook example of it. I remember I was watching CNN Live. The Obamacare decision was a big deal. It was 2010. Can't believe it's been that long. And it was one of the biggest decisions to come out of the Supreme Court since the Bush-Gore recount in 2000. And I was watching it live, and CNN reported that they reported that the Supreme Court has ruled Obamacare unconstitutional. And then about 2 to 3 minutes later, they updated it and said, nope. Chief Justice John Roberts. And then it was reported that at the last moment, John Roberts changed his opinion. In fact, he changed it as it was being released. And there were reports that Scalia, I got to take a drink here. I'm so upset thinking about Scalia. Justice Scalia, who died under very mysterious circumstances. Remember they found Scalia with a pillow over his head, over his face? Remember that? In bed? Yeah. Oh, nothing to see here. It's normal for people to die of natural causes with a pillow over their face. Mm-hmm. I've never heard that before, but that's what happened with Scalia. But it was reported that Scalia was so upset and taken aback and shocked because John Roberts, they had already done their decisions, and John Roberts said Obamacare was unconstitutional. Then as they were about to release the decision, he changed his decision. And they got into a fight that they said was a shouting match and a knockout dragout. And when people do things that are completely out of character, that's when you know they've been compromised. John Roberts, right? Amy Coney Barrett most recently. There's a lot of examples, but we'll be more relevant. In recent, Amy Coney Barrett on that birthright citizenship, she ruled with the Democrats. Very out of character. Something's up with that. We know John Roberts is, when they have people under their control, they let them do the right thing except for the big things that they really need so they can save face. So the birthright citizenship is one of the biggest decisions the Supreme Court has seen in decades. And Amy Coney Barrett, her opinion comes down with the most radical Democrats on the court. And then she testifies in Congress that she's scared to death, as is her family, of the liberals. So now we know how they got to her. So Judge Janine, they've gotten to Judge Janine. She's been compromised. How? I don't know. But she's got to go. President Trump should either fire her or let her resign this week. Because she's compromised, she can't be trusted. So not only did she drop charges against the Olympian on the vandalism charges in the reflecting pool, she went on to say in the report that there was no vandalism with the reflecting pool, none. That it was the people that did the original work of refurbishing it. They did a poor job, and all the problems with the reflecting pool was due to the construction company that was renovating it. There was no vandalism. Now, she took evidence to a D.C. grand jury and got an indictment on that Olympian. You know how hard it is to get an indictment in a D.C. grand jury filled with those D.C. bureaucrats on a case, and they come out with an indictment that's pro the Trump administration opinion? It's almost impossible. So she got a grand jury indictment, but she threw in so she went to a grand jury, got the indictment. So the grand jury looked at the evidence and said, yeah, this is vandalism. And she said there was no vandalism. It was improper work done by the contractors who were renovating the reflecting pool. We know that's not true. We have seen surveillance video of the liberals pouring fertilizer and algae into the reflecting pool. And we saw people do what the Olympian was charged with, reaching in and pulling up the stuff coming off the bottom. That's vandalism. But when she dropped charges, which is out of character for her because she had been prosecuting the case, went to the grand jury. But then when she threw in that thing that there was no vandalism at the reflecting pool, that's when it's just too over the line, just a little too far. You know, and there's these things, and if you notice these anti-Trump forces, look what they did to Scott Jennings, right? With the phone call to Mitch McConnell. He talked to him for 17 minutes, right? What an odd thing, 17 minutes. Who says that? I talked to him for about 20 minutes. I've never heard anybody, I talked to him for 17 minutes. Oh, we talked for about 15, 20 minutes. That's what you normally say. And by the way, the 17th letter of the alphabet's Q. I don't know if that's a signal or a coincidence. But when you see people that you like and trust, like Judge Jeanine, do something that is completely out of their character, especially on something like this, and then when she threw there at the end, there was no vandalism in the reflecting pool, which when we know there was, even CNN, who brought in an expert from the Smithsonian, tested the water and found fertilizer in the new water that had been put in there, and the fertilizer was to cause the algae to grow. That was that little extra thing she threw in there shows that she's completely compromised. The videos that have been seen, they have like barrels and buckets that they like I buy these things at Lowe's and Home Depot all the time. Those 5-gallon buckets, they're like $5 you can get at Home Depot. They were pouring 5-gallon buckets of algae and fertilizer into the reflecting pool. It's on the surveillance video. But Judge Jeanine said there was no vandalism. The contractors were incompetent. That's out of character. That means to me that she is completely compromised. And it's really sad because I like Judge Jeanine. I'm not even mad at Judge Jeanine. And I don't think most MAGA people are. The president probably is. I mean, I understand it. I mean, maybe I should be mad at her. But it's so obvious that she's been compromised. And to break Judge Jeanine, that ain't easy. Because when she was on Fox News, they were always going after her. And she always stood up. And she's really tough. So for them to break Judge Jeanine, that wasn't an easy thing. Not at all. You know, and don't let them tell you there was no evidence. She went to a D.C. grand jury with that Olympian and got an indictment. So they had evidence and they presented it. Now, it is Monday. If you woke up this Monday and you're in pain because you're a little more active over the weekend, go see Dr. Appleton. You know, appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays, but also on Mondays. And go in and talk to him about the robotic laser away pain treatment. The consultation is free. You know, it's very common to wake up on Mondays, aches and pains are all throughout your body, because over the weekend you're doing more. Maybe you're golfing, playing pickleball, playing tennis, whatever you're doing, cleaning out the garage, mowing the lawn. And, you know, listen, living with pain is not a part of growing old, unless you want it to be. And I don't like pain. And I'm so glad that the 7 times that Dr. Appleton rid me of pain, that he did it, because it's a lot better being pain-free than living with pain. And what's crazy about it is none of the pains have returned. He did it without any shots, without any surgeries, without any drugs. It works, and it'll work with you too. Works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. Arthritis, bursitis, bone-on-bone, gout, TMJ, pre- and post-surgical pain, neck and back injuries, knee conditions, tinnitus, sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, rotary tears, herniated disc, acute pain, chronic pain. That's a very incomplete list, but it's a list of some of the most common pains. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain too. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back.
Some of life's most meaningful memories can come from something as simple as a familiar scent. And that's the inspiration behind Heavenly Scents, a handcrafted Etsy shop created from love, healing, and the memory of a cherished mother whose warmth and kindness continue to inspire every product. After struggling for years with sensitive skin, eczema, and unexplained hives, the creator of Heavenly Scents began making gentle goat milk body products using simple ingredients she could trust. What started as a personal journey soon became a passion for creating products that are as soothing to the skin as they are comforting to the soul. From rich, moisturizing goat milk soaps to beautifully scented body products, every item is handcrafted with care to help you relax, refresh, and enjoy a little everyday luxury. Whether you're searching for a thoughtful gift or treating yourself to something special, discover the handmade difference at Heavenly Scents, online at heavenlyscents3.etsy.com. That's the number 3, heavenlyscents3.etsy.com. Visit the shop right now, view the inventory, and find the scent that feels like home. heavenlyscents3.etsy.com.
Okay, guys, we'll be back in just over a minute. Hang in there. All right, we're back. I'm Brian, it's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. And I really do hope that Judge Jeanine just resigns quietly and goes away. I just, there's certain people that are snakes, like Marjorie Trader Green, okay, that are like fake MAGA, or it's just an outright betrayal. But Judge Jeanine is another situation. I have no question that she's MAGA. And, this thing, just to follow up, she said there was no vandalism. We know for a fact there was vandalism. They put the 4687 right there next to the reflecting pool. So there was vandalism all over the place. We've seen it, on top of the people dumping the things in there. So, and there were witnesses about the cutting and everything else of the bottom of it. The perfect line down there and everything else, and they were etching 8647. We've seen people in there reaching and pulling things out. So to say that there was no vandalism is not even incredible. So whatever they did to compromise her, my heart goes out to Judge Jeanine because I like her. But we'll see. If some other things come out. But, if she sticks around see, here's the thing. Once you're compromised. They got you. Right? So if she stays in that job and they start with something small, right? And this may seem small. This isn't the biggest case in the world, but it's symbolic to the Trump haters. There's something about that Olympian that the left are just, they've got a thing for that guy. I don't know what it is, but they got a thing for that guy. And it's beyond it's beyond just another Trump defeat, because to go to Judge Jeanine and get her to do this is a whole nother level. And by the way, you got to remember, they took evidence to a grand jury and got an indictment. So the grand jury saw the evidence and thought there was enough to bring about the indictment of the vandalism. So with Judge Jeanine, if they didn't get to her, she's got to be incompetent. And that's not what I've seen, because she was pretty quick to help clean up the crime. And if you remember, there was another whack job where the case fell apart. Remember the guy that the liberal, didn't he work at the Justice Department? The one that threw the sub at the federal agents when they were cleaning up the crime in D.C.? And she went after that case, and of course they couldn't get the indictment against him. These D.C. Beltway insiders, they're so desperate to have the slightest victory against President Trump. I don't know what happened in that grand jury. What happens in grand juries is, well, it's supposed to be secret. So we don't know exactly what happened in that grand jury. But somehow this one got by the forces of evil, and they got the indictment, right? So, and I guess for whatever reason, they couldn't stop the indictment from coming through. So this is an after the fact. And, when it comes to everything that President Trump has done in this second term, they have tried to stop him at every opportunity. Now, Willie Brown's girlfriend, Kamala Harris, was speaking at the National Urban League. Let me pull this up. Oh, hold on. It just froze up on me and is not playing. Let me see if I can get it to go here. Let me cue it. I just played it during the break, and now it won't play for me. Hold on. I wanted to pull this up. Kamala Harris, I guess she wants to lose again. Here we go. Okay, so she's trying to get involved with okay, now it's working. She's trying to get involved with the Democrat Socialists because that's the latest trend.
We need to revisit the Electoral College. We need to revisit the point of expanding the court to 13 justices like we have 13 district courts. We need to revisit, if they so want, statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C.
Yes.
If we regain control of the Senate, I served on this committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, when I was in the Senate. Only the second black woman elected to the United States Senate after Carol Moseley Braun. And the Senate Judiciary Committee has the power to create rules for its committee that don't have to go to the whole Senate for a vote and worry about filibuster and all of that.
Okay, so we're getting all these examples of, the Democrat tagline they have is, this is what democracy looks like. And they're redefining democracy. And what their democracy now is finding ways to go around the public. Now, I just want to go through a couple things. She's echoing most everything that the Democrat Socialists are talking about, right, in this speech. She wants to be relevant again, like Tucker and Marjorie Taylor Greene at this ridiculous dinner for schmucks they had over the weekend. And if you hear her talking about the Electoral College, okay, and the Supreme Court and all of this, the Democrats, they believe there's been an injustice every time they lose an election, okay? The Democrats have been trying to get rid of the Electoral College since 1860. I'm not kidding. Okay, and you may have heard me mention this from time to time because this is not new. When the Democrats lost to Abraham Lincoln, they went and started the Civil War. And after the Civil War, the Democrat Confederate President Jefferson Davis wrote a book, The History of the Confederacy, The Rise and Fall of the Confederate States of America. And I read that book years ago, and I was surprised how obsessed he was over the Electoral College. And the Confederate president he made this long argument about how the Electoral College has to be abolished. And here we are in 2026, and Kamala Harris is saying the same thing that Jefferson Davis was saying in 1860, right? And what this really shows me the importance of the Save America Act. I mean, if you haven't been sold on it yet, right? The Democrats have always been unpopular. They've always been unpopular, and they know it. That's why they have their whole machine in place, and that's why they're so freaked out over the Save America Act, and that's why they're always advocating against the Electoral College, because they think California and New York and one or two other blue states are going to decide who the presidents are forever. And without the Electoral College, that may be possible. They would just, handle it that way. Although President Trump won the popular vote in the last election. But if you go all the way back from 1860 to 2026, the Democrats have spent 166 years talking about how unfair the Electoral College is. Well, if they really are as popular as people think, why are they so obsessed for 166 years trying to abolish the Electoral College? Right. It's exactly right. It's why same reason they don't want photo ID as a requirement to vote. Forgetting about the citizenship requirement to register, they don't even want ID to vote because they know the dangers of that. And this election, even without the Save America Act, here in Florida, we have our own version of it that Ron DeSantis signed into law. But we've done all this congressional redistricting. So even without the Save America Act being in place in November, they're going to lose seats that were in the past safe Democrat seats because of the redistricting that's gone on. Like Debbie Wasserman Schultz's seat is going to go Republican, so she moved into this other district where she's running, and she may win that district. But nationwide, the Democrats, for the first time, are running in a long time with some proper districting going on in a lot of the red states. And all this polling that you're seeing, no matter what it says, it doesn't factor that in to the polling in the House numbers. All right, now I'm looking at the clock. Okay, we're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. And, it is August. This is our first show in August. You know what August is? It's National Wellness Month. That's right. August is National Wellness Month. And, why don't you make August your annual heart scan at Life Imaging? You do. There's so many things you do on a yearly schedule. Your dental, your physical. You want to do the same with Life Imaging. Get your heart scan every August, and it'll be easy to remember because August is National Wellness Month. And I know you have people in your family that have had cancer, have had heart issues, maybe even heart attacks. These are things that can be genetic. That's another reason you want to get checked. It's amazing to me how many people in this audience that I've met that have gone to Life Imaging, had the heart scan, had the cancer screening, and then they find out that they have heart problems, some blockage. We've had listeners that have gone into Life Imaging that found out not only did they have blockage, they had blockage in all their arteries. Some have found out they've had cancers. No symptoms at all. That's why 30 to 40% of heart attacks and heart disease, the first symptom is instant death. Call Life Imaging for your free heart scan with a few minimum requirements valued at $699. From your cell, dial pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250. Just say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. Remember, Life Imaging have locations in Broward, Palm Beach, Dade, and Orlando. While you're there, make sure you ask about their full-body cancer screening and virtual colonography. And say goodbye to sedation. Again, that's pound 250. Say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. Pound 250. Just say free heart scan. You will be connected in seconds. We'll take our bottom of the hour break and be right back. All right, guys, hang in there. I'll be back with you.
Hi, Tom Laporta here. We are Laporta Roofing, a family business since 1983. You are our customer. In other words, our boss. We are here for and because of you, not the other way around. The 2026 rainy season is upon us. Because we haven't had a hurricane in 2 years, all the storm chaser roofing companies have gone out of business, leaving only the strongest and the best contractors. At Laporta Roofing, we will never sell you a roof you don't need. We don't have salesmen or commissions, so we will never pressure you to sign a contract. Also, deposits are not required. At Laporta Roofing, you will always come first. We must earn your trust, and we will. So call me on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
Do you owe back taxes? Jamie Levac at Swift Tax is here to help. He's helped people just like you with their IRS problems, and he doesn't charge those outrageous high fees the other companies demand. Jamie Levac at Swift Tax charges only a small fraction of what those companies charge. Stop worrying every time the mailman comes that he's bringing you a letter from the IRS. Call Jamie Levac at Swift Tax right now, 954-773-1587, 954-773-1587. If you're a business owner, founder, or marketer, you already know that great content matters. The problem is finding the time to write it or the budget to keep hiring writers. That's where maywrites.co comes in. Think of maywrites.co as your on-demand writing employee. Need blog post? No problem. Newsletters? They do that too. LinkedIn content? No worries. Website copy? Even an ebook? Just send your request. There's no pre-word charges, no per-project invoices, and no surprise cost. With maywrites.co, you get unlimited writing requests for one simple monthly rate. It's like having a professional writer on your team. You'll get fast turnaround, consistent quality, and the freedom to stop worrying about who will write your next piece of content. Best of all, you can try it free for 7 days. If it's not the right fit, you can cancel anytime. Stop chasing writers, stop paying by the project, and start creating more content with less stress. Visit maywrites.co right now. That's maywrites, maywrites.co, your on-demand writing employee.
All right, we got about a little more than 30 seconds. We'll be back, guys. Oh, man, the show's flying by. I came on really early today, so we already have been on 3 hours and 12 minutes. Oh, my goodness. The show has flown by. Been on over 3 hours already? 28 to go. Less than 28 to go. All right, 10 seconds. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It is Monday. I'm Brian Craig, and this is, of course, Florida's longest-running radio show. You know, on Friday, I got a call from a woman in Texas, and she was talking about, she saw some polls that show Tallarico winning in Texas. This is nuts. This is an interview that Tallarico gave.
And then the last one is maybe the most insidious. It was a new state curriculum that would teach Christian Bible stories as historical fact, as the only truth to our youngest students. And I mean kindergarten, first graders. These are kids who aren't able to think for themselves yet. They haven't formed their own worldviews. And to push propaganda, to push indoctrination on those youngest students is deeply immoral.
It's okay. So to teach kids about the Bible and Jesus is immoral, is what Tallarico said. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. When I first heard of Tallarico, when he was first running, it seems to me that he was being presented as a minister, a Christian, right? Remember that? Yeah. And now it's something completely different. I mean, it's immoral to teach about the Bible and Christianity. You know, what the Democrats are doing with these Democrat socialists around the country, we are going to have a major win because of it, but they're not all going to go away after. And Tallarico is one of the more dangerous ones because he's going out there and these Democrat socialists are rewriting Christianity is what they're doing. They're basically writing their own new religion and telling us that it's Christianity. That's pretty scary. And to the lady that called me on Friday that said that Tallarico's head in the polls, how are you going to win in Texas? How can you be in the lead in the polls in Texas when you're outraged that they're teaching the Bible and Jesus to kids and it's immoral to do so? I don't think so. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Jeff from Maine.
Oh, hey, Jeff. What's up?
Got a late start. Had to go to a chiropractor.
Okay.
Listen, what that guy just said is absolutely right. Up and through the 1950s, the Bible was taught in every classroom.
Oh, yeah.
From kindergarten to college. And that's what, if we get justice reform, education reform, trade reform, all this stuff, and we don't get God back in the classroom, we're never going to teach our kids what made America great. And that is teaching the truth of God's word.
You know, what the liberals don't understand is that this is a country founded on Christian Judeo,
Amen.
You know, and foundations. And I do remember myself when there was prayer openly in school and everything else. I've talked about it quite a bit, and they've erased it from the public schools. There's no doubt about it. They really have. I mean, it's pretty much gone now.
But we can't make it a mandatory class. I believe it needs to be a credited course that they can take and put it up to the kids. But once you start teaching the truth, it's going to go like a match through a matchbox cover, because you can't deny the truth of the Bible. In the history of our country, the people that came here was to worship God in their own way that they wanted to.
The way that it worked, the way that it used to work is the school districts would allow in the school what that community was all about, because the schools were really controlled by the locals. Like when I didn't see this when I was in elementary school in Columbus, Ohio. I didn't see so much Christianity in school. But when I first moved to Florida, the part of Florida I lived in was more southern and they prayed and had prayers at school and everything else here in Florida. And because in that community, it was a Bible Belt community. And nobody cared, nobody whined, nobody complained, nobody called the ACLU. But then in the 80s, they took prayer out of the public schools, and that was it. It never returned.
I can remember being part of the choir in grades 3 through 6, and we sang patriotic songs and songs that sung about God, and nobody ever complained about it. We had one boy that his family didn't believe in God; they were atheists, and when we said the Pledge of Allegiance, he got up and went out into the hallway. He didn't disrupt everyone else.
I remember in fact, even when, it's a funny thing you say that, because I can remember even when I was in elementary school in Ohio. I went to school in Ohio through 4th grade, and then I came to Florida. So I started 5th grade in Florida. And I can remember in Ohio, there were 2 girls every day when we did the pledge went out in the hallway, which I don't know what their religion was. I was too young to really get into stuff like that then. But and nobody cared. Nobody shamed them. That's just what you did.
And that's their right. I don't deny anybody to teach their children that and take them out of the classroom. But you don't make them go in the classroom and take our God and prayer out of school, because that's forcing the minority will over the majority will.
That's right.
And that's where I believe that's where we're at again, Brian.
Yeah.
Is the majority of people want that crap they're teaching in schools out, and they'd rather have God and the Bible taught.
Well, what they did, see, this is one of the major things Obama did, which was very destructive, when in the Obama era, there was a big recruitment drive for school teachers. And you see what we got as public school teachers. And what they did is we've already had these liberal indoctrination centers at the universities forever, but they took the liberal indoctrination and started it in pre-K, and it's all the way through 12th grade in high school. And it's been that way for over a decade, and it's had some just devastating effects.
Well, look at our colleges. They're just cesspools. They're not even anything about education.
Well, what happens in public school and in college is they learn about America from a negative. Like they don't learn. Right. They're not taught about the positive things. They're taught about America from slavery. Is first and foremost, and all these things. It's everything is taught from a negative, not from a positive.
Exactly, Brian. That is a really great way to show people, and especially children in school, if there's any of you teenagers listen, there's a reason they're teaching you what they teach you.
Yeah.
They don't.
I saw a video.
Brian, I believe
go ahead.
They want us divided, and they thought when Trump ran the second time that they were going to divide MAGA. And every time they thought that, MAGA got stronger and bigger because people are just tired of what they're saying. They're beating the same old drum for 50 years, and now it's coming back to slap them in the face. And they have no one to run nationally for the presidency with any value or message or anything.
Well, with the MAGA movement is bigger today than it's ever been, and that's a fact, and it's getting bigger all the time.
Amen.
Yep.
And shows like this help, Brian. And I'm so glad. I've been listening for like 10 years, and I'll tell you, the people I've met through the chat, I'd love to be able to sit down and get together with everyone, but someday we will up in heaven, and it's going to be a great day up there.
Or on our MAGA cruise in March. All right, hey, appreciate the call, Jeff. You take care, all right? Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I came across this over the weekend, and this is really scary. This is a Muslim teacher talking to her local school board, and she's wearing the full Muslim lady clothing, and she's talking about teaching her kids about 9/11. Muslim teacher, full Muslim getup, talking to the school board.
I had to sit and explain to a child just a few months ago about Al-Qaeda and 9/11, and I'm like sitting here thinking to myself, why am I teaching this to a fourth grader? The kid can barely find the legend on a map. This might be politically charged. Maybe this fulfills an agenda for somebody, for some purpose. This is not the time for fourth graders to be learning this kind of material.
No, they learn about 9/11. They learn about Pearl Harbor. They learn about Fort Sumter. It's the American story.
Schoolers, even maybe I could say.
So it's an 8.
What is being taught to children is basically prioritizing politically charged content over basics.
Thank you. Anyone else, Sherman?
Yeah, and I mean, can you imagine? As we approach the 25th anniversary of 9/11, we're going to see more about this. Muslim school teacher and Muslim clothing with the head thing and everything going on, complaining to her school board that she has to teach about 9/11. She wants it wiped from the history books. She doesn't want kids to learn about 9/11. What about Pearl Harbor? What about, you're not going to learn about that either? And who would have thought? I always use that September 12th analogy. I mean, the idea that she has the nerve to do this and stand up there like that and say that, it's so surreal. It's hard to believe these things are even real sometimes, isn't it? It absolutely is. If you're on hold, hang in there. The number to call in is toll-free 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. When I went to Coastal Weight Loss Secret the first time, when I first went there, it was on Trump's second inauguration day, right? And I didn't know what to expect. And I thought that I was going to walk out with a big old box of a bunch of food that I didn't like. I thought I was going to have to starve myself all the time. All these things. I thought I was going to have to exercise and do all these things and have a lifestyle change that I would not be able to maintain after the weight loss. And you've heard me talk since I've been telling you about Coastal Weight Loss Secret, about how I lost all this weight. I've kept it off without starving myself, without any shots, without any pills, without any injections, eating foods I would normally eat, and also, and very importantly, without any exercise. And I thought the reason that I've kept the weight off is primarily because I didn't have big lifestyle changes. But what I found out from Dr. Zuckerman is that he reset my metabolism as well, and that Coastal Weight Loss Secret is known as the home of the metabolic reset. And that's the main reason and the real reason that my weight has stayed off without any effort on my part. Because Dr. Zuckerman at Coastal Weight Loss Secret reset my metabolism. Give him a call. Schedule your no-charge consultation. This is a doctor-developed metabolic reset, and it's helped thousands of people just like me, just like you, not only reset our metabolism, but people losing 10, 20% of their body weight in just 60 days. And that's probably why a lot of these weight loss things you've yo-yoed on in the past haven't worked, and why Coastal Weight Loss Secret does work. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call right now, 561-359-3418. 561-359-3418. That's 561-359-3418. And online, coastalweightloss.secret.com. We'll be right back. Okay. All right, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with our first gold, silver, and precious metals report of the week. William Youngerman, how are the metals starting the week off?
Mixed right now, slightly higher on gold and silver, platinum and palladium lower. After last week's wild market, we had a chance last week of actually breaking out of this trading range we've been in for quite a while. With gold getting up over $4,100 on Thursday, but then failing to follow through and giving up $60.90 on Friday, closing out the week at $4,041.70 after trading as high as $4,112 on Friday. Silver lost $1.45 on Friday, closing out the week at $57.44. Platinum was down $10 at $16.44. And palladium closed out the week down $44 at $1,256. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $4,044 on the low to $4,083 on the high. And right now, we're at $4,045 on gold, up $3.30. Silver up a penny at $57.45 the ounce. platinum down $24 at $1,620, and palladium down $18 at $12.38. So that's pretty much where we're starting off the week. We'll see if this is the week we break out of these trading ranges, either to the higher or to the lower numbers.
Absolutely. When it comes to silver, what are some of the best buys right now in silver?
Silver is got great buys on 1 ounce rounds. 90% silver still on sale. The bars are very reasonably priced. 1 ounce, 10 ounce, and 100 ounce bars, kilo bars. We have it all on sale. Some of the countries, other countries like South Africa, the Australia roos, all these beautiful silver coins that the different governments are making are very reasonably priced and good values on all of the silver products.
Those Australian 1 ounce silver kangaroos are some of the most beautiful silver coins I've ever seen. I don't know what it is about it, but they're really shiny and pretty. Good. Yeah. Listen, give William Regaman a call. He opens up at 10 a.m. His number, toll free, 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. You can stop in Boca. He's on the first floor of the Bank of America building just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. The address is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca. And find both his phone number and address online at williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day.
All right, you too. Take care. All right, let's take some of these calls. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, it's Cindy from Tennessee.
Hey, Tennessee. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to express a thought, no big long thing or anything, just about Iran and Trump and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Just an observation, thought that I have about it and that I've known about Trump for years. Trump has a big heart, okay? And a lot of people don't realize that. Many people listening do not realize his history and how he helps people.
Mm-hmm.
He actually loves people.
Yes.
He doesn't want to hurt innocent people. And that's his whole... I really think a lot of the crux... I know there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of issues to be concerned with, a lot of people involved, a lot of countries involved. But I really think down inside, he does not want to hurt those people.
Well, he said, a couple things. You're right. He said yesterday on Air Force One, I don't want to kill people. And he's talked about at least twice. He's talked about on Air Force One a couple of months ago about how he's concerned about his place in heaven because his job requires him to give orders that get people killed, and that's something that weighs on his mind. And he's a commander in chief who's a strong believer in Jesus, probably the most Christian president we've ever had. Because I've never heard a president talk that way.
I believe that, and I believe that he's concerned about that. I believe that he thinks about that, and he takes a lot of that. Some of the other presidents may not have taken that into consideration so much as he has, though.
That's right.
He does.
They wear Christianity on their sleeve to get some votes here and get some votes there. He's the real deal.
And I remember, I guess it was last week, something like that I was watching, because I watch everything on there that whenever he's involved, what he says and what they say. At a meeting, and the comment that he made, he said, the discussion was something about the people that had been taken out already, the evil people.
Mm-hmm.
And then he made the comment, can you believe that I'm doing this?
Yeah.
Can you believe that this is, can I believe, something like, I wouldn't ever believe that this is what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
And I think he was talking about the fact that he was having to make, command orders for people to be killed.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to do. And the fact that it weighs on him, that's a positive.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, I just wanted to express that people may not realize.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like for them to research some of the things that he's done in the past over the years before he was ever president. I wish they would research that.
Yeah, all right. Appreciate the call. You take care. All right. Yeah, some good points. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. JJ from Mass.
Oh, hey, JJ. Before we get started, I want to tell everybody about Jupiter Joe Thomas. Annuities. When I first started talking to you guys about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities, I didn't realize how many people I know in my personal life that have annuities. And some of the most successful people I know have annuities, and I've heard so many stories, not just from listeners but friends of mine, and everyone that I know that has an annuity, no matter what their income level is, whether they're a working class person who's been blue collar their whole life, or maybe a lifetime career working in retail, or somebody who's a high net worth earner, and the people in between, they all tell me the same thing that they love the most about annuities, and that is that they get that check every month deposited in their account on the same day every month, and they know how much money they got coming in. And that's a great benefit. Plus, not only do you get that monthly check every month for the rest of your life, your money in the annuity is never at risk no matter what happens with the market. Call Joe Thomas and schedule your no-charge consultation, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located over the phone or through a video call. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And you can also find his number on his website, jupiterjoe.com. All right, go ahead. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian, the Judge Janine thing is it's kind of tough to take that, but I believe your analogy, you talk about SCOTUS, you talk about Roberts. I believe he is compromised. He acts reasonable, decisions are reasonable, and then bang, out of nowhere, he turns into like a liberal crazy.
Yeah.
And like Fox News, Fox News in a way does the same thing. They tell the truth, they act reasonable, they build their audience, and then boom, they go left or liberal. And I think with Griffin, it's kind of an example of that. I believe with her, it's a little bit, it's kind of personal, and I think it's a little personal with her, but at the same time, that fits into Fox News' narrative. But Judge Janine, it's just a tough one for me. It's a tough one for me to say that she's. I don't think she's compromised. She could be, though. I think it's more that she's surrounded. I think that where she is compromised. I mean, she's surrounded by TDS lawyers who could have sabotaged the case, could have tainted the evidence.
Compromise doesn't mean a bribe or threatened always. It can mean other things. It can mean what you're talking about. You can have people underneath you undermining you and compromising you. There's who knows.
I think that it's a tough one.
But the thing that I say, the thing with this Judge Janine case, there's a couple things that to me stink. One, they had already gotten the grand jury indictment. That's number one. Okay, she didn't even try to make a deal. She just dropped it, and then when she dropped it, she threw in at the bottom that there was no vandalism, that it was the incompetence from the contractors who did the restoration work. Which that was just a little too much.
That's a tough one.
That was just too much.
That's what gets me right there. That gets me there. That gets me.
That's not her speaking. That's somebody else's voice.
Yeah. Somebody parroted that into her. I believe that when I lived in Myrtle Beach, maybe 6 months after I lived, I didn't realize I was doing it. I was speaking with a Southern accent. And maybe, I just think she's been around these left liberals, and maybe she's actually started, they're probably nice people, they're just crazy, and she started to believe them. But, and listen, it could be, Brian, as well. Maybe there was a little something wrong with the, process with this company laying down the sealant. But that, regardless, 8647 was sabotage. They did sabotage the reflecting pool.
Remember, people have voices. Okay, they have voices. I don't mean like you're listening to me now. I mean in their writing and word usage.
Is that your cat?
That's my cat. That's my daughter's cat. Actually, it's my daughter's cat. Actually, not mine. But I've got two of my daughter's cats with me. She just came back from California, so I'm taking her cats today. So that's why I got them here with me.
Good dad.
Yes, it is because I'm allergic to cats. Everybody has a voice. I'll give you an example. If you remember, there was that book about the Clintons called Primary Colors that came out. They made a movie about it. Yeah. But when the book came out, Primary Colors, it came out without an author. And there was a big mystery who the author was. And there was a lot of analysis. They knew it was a Washington reporter. So there was some analysis done on the writing voice of the author, comparing it to Washington reporters' writings. And they identified who the author was through the writing style and writing voice. And when Judge Janine in this thing with the Olympian threw in that there's no evidence of vandalism at the end, it was on the fault of the contractors, that's not her voice. That's not her voice. And that was put in as a little sticking it to
They
Trump.
looked to embarrass Trump. They
Yes.
were looking to embarrass. They were looking to embarrass the president.
That's
Because
correct.
I sincerely doubt. I believe they did a great job, and I think it's. I mean, you can't. I just don't see that. I agree that it's a possibility, maybe 1% to 5%, but I believe they cut the hell out of it. These radicals in D.C., they're crazy. I mean, I imagine the paint all over all the monuments that he fixed.
Yeah.
I guess that just, there was no evidence of that either. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
D.C. was full of those crazy people.
If she just would have dropped the case, I would have been upset about it and been like, I don't know. But that little thing at the end about no evidence of any vandalism, that was just too much. And that to me, it's like when Scott Jennings said we talked for 17 minutes, as opposed to saying we talked for 15, 20 minutes. When there's certain things that people say that you can tell like came from somebody else. It's not natural.
We talked for 17. We talked for 17 minutes.
Nobody says
17.5.
You say,
how about we chatted, we had a talk.
For about 15, 20
fine.
minutes, and he's okay. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Yeah. Listen, I got to go, but we're almost out of time, but I appreciate the call. All right, you take care. The rest of you on hold, I'm sorry we're out of time, but we'll be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. And we'll see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. And we covered a lot of great things today. We've had some pretty good calls today, for the most part. A couple stray weirdos, but that's okay. See you tomorrow, 6 a.m. All right, guys, I got to take off because I got an appointment I got to be at in about 20 minutes, and it's 25 minutes away. So I'm already late. Make sure you guys like the video before you go, all right? My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk.